The galaxy had witnessed countless arrivals, refugee ships fleeing war, merchant vessels seeking profit, diplomatic cruisers bearing peace or threats, but nothing could have prepared the Kaminoans for what emerged from the storm that night. Reality split open above Tipoca City with a violence that sent sensor arrays into cascading failure. Not the clean blue-white of hyperspace, but a ragged purple wound in space itself, crackling with energy signatures that matched nothing in any database. Through that impossible tear came a vessel unlike anything the cloners had ever seen. Angular, utilitarian, trailing atmospheric fire and electrical discharge as it plummeted toward the endless ocean. The Pelican dropship's emergency thrusters screamed against Kamino's fierce winds, barely arresting its descent before it crashed into one of the empty landing platforms on the city's outermost ring. Dr. Catherine Halsey was the first to exit, her eyes immediately scanning the alien architecture with the cold assessment that had made her both the UNSC's most valuable asset and its most controversial scientist. Rain lashed against her Navy service uniform as she steadied herself on the platform, one hand gripping a datapad that was already cataloging atmospheric conditions, gravitational variance, stellar position, trying to answer the question that consumed her thoughts. Where in hell were they? Behind her came the Spartans, 4 of them, their Mjolnir armor's green and gold plating reflecting the lightning that split Kamino's perpetual storm. Their motion trackers swept the area, M5B assault rifles held at low ready, every movement speaking of lethal efficiency. To the Kaminoan security personnel, now emerging with their own weapons, the armored giants appeared as walking tanks, each standing over 7 feet tall and radiating an aura of controlled violence that needed no translation across dimensional barriers. "Ma'am," the lead Spartan's voice crackled through external speakers, his golden visor turning toward the approaching Kaminoans. "We have contacts. Unknown species, armed but not engaging. Recommend defensive posture." "Stand down but stay ready," Halsey replied, her mind already working through the strategic implications. The architecture around them spoke of advanced technology, cloning facilities if she recognized the distinctive genetic sequencing equipment visible through transparasteel windows. The species approaching moved with the careful grace of scientists, not soldiers. And most importantly, they hadn't immediately opened fire on an unidentified vessel that had literally torn through space above their city. That meant they valued knowledge over knee-jerk aggression. That meant she could work with them. The lead Kaminoan, tall, gray-skinned, with those distinctive elongated skulls and black eyes, raised one slender hand in what might have been either greeting or warning. When he spoke, Halsey's datapad caught the language, began processing, and within seconds fed her a rough translation through her neural interface. "You have violated restricted airspace. Identify yourselves or be..." The Kaminoan paused, his dark eyes widening slightly as he took in the Spartans more fully. "What manner of soldiers are these?" Halsey stepped forward, projecting calm authority despite her racing pulse. She'd negotiated with Oni admirals, argued with Fleet Command, and convinced the UNSC to fund the most controversial military program in human history. She could handle one confused alien scientist. "I am Dr. Catherine Halsey of the United Nations Space Command. We've had a navigational malfunction. This is clearly not our intended destination." She gestured to the Spartans behind her. "These are my security detail. We mean no harm, but I need to understand where we are and how we arrived here." The Kaminoan studied her for a long moment, then glanced at a datapad of his own. "Your vessel's energy signature is unlike anything in our records. Your technology appears divergent from known spacefaring civilizations. I am Lama Su, Prime Minister of Kamino. You have arrived at our cloning facility, though I am uncertain how, given that our location is not listed in Republic navigational charts. Cloning facility, the word sent Halsey's mind into overdrive. She glanced past Lama Su at the massive structures rising from the ocean platform, the distinctive architecture of genetic engineering laboratories, growth acceleration chambers, the kind of infrastructure that required decades of research and centuries of expertise to build. And they were hiding it from something called the Republic. Prime Minister, Halsey said carefully, I believe we may have much to discuss. Our arrival was unintentional, but perhaps fortuitous. You see, I happen to know a great deal about cloning, enhanced soldiers specifically, and from what I'm seeing of your facilities, you're preparing for something significant. Lama Su's eyes narrowed slightly, the first real expression she'd seen on his face. You are correct. We have recently accepted a contract for a clone army, the largest order in Kamino's history, though I wonder how you could know this given that the project has only just begun. A clone army. Halsey felt the familiar cold calculation settle over her thoughts, the same mindset that had led her to kidnap children, to risk their lives in augmentation procedures with 50% mortality rates, to create the Spartans. The same mindset that had saved humanity from extinction at the hands of the Covenant. She'd been torn away from her universe, from the war she'd dedicated her life to winning. The UNSC, the Covenant, Earth itself, all of it might be unreachable now. But standing here on this storm-racked ocean world, looking at cloning facilities that dwarfed anything humanity had attempted, she saw something else, an opportunity. Prime Minister Lama Su, she said, her voice carrying the weight of decision. Before you commit fully to this contract, I'd like to show you what real enhanced soldiers look like. Not just clones, something far more effective. Something that could change the nature of warfare in this galaxy. She gestured to the Spartans. I created them, and given the right facilities and resources, I can create an army that will make whatever you're planning look like a prototype. The Spartan designated Fred 104 shifted slightly, his armor's shields flickering in the rain. Through their private comm channel, his voice was cautious. Doctor, are you sure about this? We don't know who these people are, what kind of war they're preparing for, or if we should even... I'm sure, Fred, Halsey cut him off, her eyes never leaving Lama Su. We're stranded in an unknown galaxy with limited supplies and no way home. But we're standing on a cloning facility with technology that could level the playing field for whatever challenges lie ahead. I didn't create the Spartan program to see it end with a slipspace malfunction. She could see the calculation in Lama Su's eyes, the scientist's curiosity warring with administrative caution. The storm raged around them, lightning illuminating the endless ocean, and Halsey knew she stood at a crossroads. Whatever she built here, whatever alliances or enemies she made, would echo through this galaxy in ways she couldn't yet predict. But Catherine Halsey had never backed down from impossible odds. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. Lama Su finally spoke. Very well, Dr. Halsey. You have piqued my curiosity. Come, let me show you what Kamino has achieved, and you may show me these Spartans. Then we shall see if your claims have merit. As they walked toward the facility's entrance, Halsey's mind was already racing through possibilities, calculations, and the first stirrings of a plan that would shake this galaxy to its foundations. The Spartans moved in formation around her, silent guardians in an alien world. Behind them, the Pelican sat on the landing platform, a piece of human ingenuity stranded impossibly far from home. But Catherine Halsey had built miracles from less. She would do so again. The interior of Tipoca City exceeded even Halsey's considerable expectations. The corridors stretched in clean white perfection, transparent steel windows revealing rows upon rows of cloning chambers in various stages of development. Her practiced eye cataloged everything: growth acceleration pods, genetic sequencing stations, flash training apparatus that bore striking similarity to her own memory implantation technology. The Kaminoans had mastered large-scale cloning with an elegance that Oni's researchers would have killed for. But as Lama Su guided them deeper into the facility, Halsey also noted the limitations. The cloning process was sophisticated, yes, but purely genetic replication without the augmentation protocols that made Spartans truly superior. These clones would be fast-grown soldiers, identical copies of a single template. Effective, perhaps, but lacking the enhanced physiology that gave her Spartans their edge. The Django Fett genome provides an excellent foundation, Lama Su explained as they entered an observation deck overlooking the main cloning floor. Below them, hundreds of transparent cylinders held developing embryos in various stages of growth. Superior physical conditioning, combat instinct, aggressive psychology tempered by discipline. The client specified a soldier capable of following orders without the unpredictability of standard recruits. Halsey's reflection in the glass showed a slight smile. Who is this client? Surely a project of this magnitude requires significant political backing. The Jedi Master Sifo-Dyas placed the order on behalf of the Galactic Republic, Lama Su said, though something in his tone suggested uncertainty. Though recent communications have become irregular, we proceed on faith that the Republic will honor the contract when the time comes. The Jedi. Halsey filed that name away. The datapad strapped to her forearm had been passively scanning local data transmissions since their arrival, building a linguistic database and pulling fragmentary information from Kamino's networks. What she'd gleaned so far painted a picture of a galaxy far larger than humanity's sphere of influence. Thousands of worlds, multiple species, and these Jedi who appeared to serve as some combination of peacekeepers, diplomats, and warriors. And something else. References to the Force kept appearing in the data, some kind of mystical energy field that certain individuals could manipulate. Halsey's scientific mind rebelled at the concept, but she'd learned long ago not to dismiss phenomena simply because they didn't fit existing models. The Forerunners had taught humanity that the universe held wonders and terrors beyond conventional understanding. Your clones will be competent soldiers, Halsey said carefully, but I can offer you something exponentially more effective. May I demonstrate? Lama Su gestured to an adjacent training facility, visible through another window. Please. 5 minutes later, the Kaminoan cloners had assembled in the observation gallery above their primary combat training floor. Below, a group of their own security personnel, non-clone Kaminoans trained in facility defense, waited in full armor with energy weapons that Halsey's scans identified as relatively primitive blaster technology, effective, but nothing compared to UNSC armaments. Fred 104 stood alone on the training floor, his shields inactive, weapons holstered. Your security personnel will attempt to stun or incapacitate my Spartan, Halsey explained to the gathered Kaminoans. They may use any non-lethal means at their disposal. Fred will demonstrate the difference between a cloned soldier and an augmented one. Lama Su's expression remained unreadable. Your soldier is outnumbered 8-1. Even with that impressive armor, the outcome seems predetermined. Watch, was all Halsey said. The Kaminoan security chief gave the signal. 8 guards opened fire simultaneously, blue stun bolts converging on Fred's position. The Spartan moved. Even after years of working with Spartans, Halsey felt a surge of pride watching Fred in action. His augmented reflexes, faster than any unmodified human could achieve, allowed him to track each incoming bolt. He didn't try to dodge all of them. Instead, he activated his energy shields and let them absorb 2 shots while his Mjolnir's reactive circuits predicted the trajectory of the others. He dove forward into a roll, came up running, and closed the distance to the nearest guard in less than 2 seconds. The impact when Fred struck looked almost gentle, a palm strike to the chest plate that nevertheless sent the Kaminoan stumbling backward into a wall. Fred didn't stop. He moved through the remaining guards like a scalpel through tissue, each movement precise and devastating. A disarm here, an armor-cracking blow there, always pulling his strikes just enough to incapacitate without killing. The entire engagement lasted 18 seconds. When the last guard dropped, Fred stood in the center of the training floor, his armor unmarked, breathing barely elevated. He looked up at the observation gallery and nodded once. The silence in the gallery was absolute. That, Halsey said quietly, is what enhanced soldiers can do. Not just training or genetic selection, but biological augmentation. Increased bone density, reinforced skeletal structure, enhanced muscular response, improved neural pathways. Fred's reaction time is 5 times faster than a normal human. He can lift 3 times his body weight without the armor. With it, he can flip vehicles. His bones are practically unbreakable. And there are 3 more just like him with me. Lama Su's black eyes remained fixed on Fred below. Impressive, but such augmentation must require extensive modification. Expensive, time-consuming. Our contract requires 10,000 units within 10 years. Your process cannot scale to such numbers. Not with my current resources, no, Halsey admitted. But I wasn't working with Kamino's cloning infrastructure. You have growth acceleration technology that could reduce the augmentation timeline significantly. I have the augmentation protocols and cybernetic integration procedures. Together, Prime Minister, we could create something unprecedented. Another Kaminoan, this one wearing different marking that suggested scientific rather than administrative rank, leaned forward. Dr. Halsey, such modifications would alter the fundamental nature of the cloning process. The risks are manageable, Halsey interrupted. I've conducted the procedures hundreds of times. Yes, there's risk. Yes, not every candidate survives the augmentation, but those who do become something far greater than the sum of their parts. The mortality rate? Lama Su asked. Halsey met his gaze without flinching. 50% in the original Spartan 2 program, but that was with human children whose bodies were still developing. With your growth acceleration and my refined protocols, I could reduce that to 20% or less, and the survivors would be worth 5 standard soldiers each. She could see the calculation in Lama Su's eyes. The scientist's coldness she recognized because she shared it, the ability to weigh lives against tactical advantage without letting emotion cloud judgment. It was what had made her successful. It was what had made her necessary. It was what had made her, in the eyes of many, a monster. There is another consideration, Lama Su said slowly. Our contract is with the Jedi, who represent the Republic. If we were to modify that arrangement, there would be political complications. Then don't tell them, Halsey said flatly. Continue your contract as specified. Deliver the clones they ordered, but give me access to your facilities, your research, and a small percentage of your production capacity. Let me build a prototype force, say 200 enhanced clones. When I prove their effectiveness, you'll have leverage to renegotiate your contract for far better terms. Or, she paused, letting the alternative hang in the air. You could offer those enhanced units to the highest bidder. I suspect there are multiple parties in this galaxy who would pay dearly for soldiers of that caliber. The Kaminoan scientists exchanged glances, their elongated faces betraying subtle signs of intrigue. But Lama Su raised one hand for silence. Dr. Halsey, you propose a significant undertaking on faith alone. We know nothing of your credentials, your technology, or your intentions. For all we know, your arrival is some elaborate espionage attempt by the Republic or another power. Halsey had expected this. She reached into her uniform pocket and withdrew a data chip, one of the few that had survived the slipspace rupture intact. This contains documentation of my work with the Spartan 2 program, full technical specifications, augmentation procedures, success rates, and combat effectiveness data. Review it, verify my claims, then decide if I'm worth the risk. She held Lama Su's gaze. But decide quickly, Prime Minister, because if what I'm learning about this galaxy is accurate, a major conflict is brewing. Someone ordered 10,000 clone soldiers. That's not a peacekeeping force, that's an army being prepared for war. And when that war comes, whoever controls the most effective soldiers will control the outcome. Lama Su took the data chip, his slender fingers closing around it carefully. Very well, we will review your work. In the meantime, you and your Spartans will remain in the guest quarters, comfortable but monitored. I hope you understand the necessity. Perfectly, Halsey said. I'd do the same in your position. As the Kaminoans filed out to review her data, Fred moved to Halsey's side, his voice low over their private channel. Doctor, we're making a lot of assumptions. We don't know who the good guys are here, if there even are any. Helping an unknown faction build super soldiers, that could backfire spectacularly. Halsey watched through the window as technicians below tended to the training equipment, already restoring the chamber for the next session. Fred, we're stranded in an unknown galaxy with no way home and a rapidly dwindling ammunition supply. We need allies, resources, and information, in that order. The Kaminoans are scientists. I understand scientists, and if I can establish us as valuable enough to protect, we might survive long enough to find a way back to UNSC space. And if we can't get back, another Spartan, Kelly 087, asked. Halsey was quiet for a moment. Then we do what we've always done. We adapt, we overcome, and we make sure that whatever happens, humanity's legacy survives in some form, even if it's in a galaxy that's never heard of Earth. The Spartans didn't respond, but she felt their acceptance through the subtle shifts in their posture. They'd followed her into hell before. They'd do it again. Halsey turned from the window and began walking toward the quarters Lama Su had indicated. Behind her, the cloning facility hummed with the industry of creating life, at a scale that defied imagination. And in her mind, the first sketches of a new Spartan program were already taking shape, one built not for humanity's survival, but for dominance in a galaxy that didn't yet know what was coming. The Republic scout ship emerged from hyperspace 3 days later, with all the subtlety of a hammer through glass. Its arrival sent Kamino's sensor arrays into full alert. An unscheduled vessel, broadcasting Republic authentication codes, but demanding immediate landing clearance with the urgency of a military inspection. Halsey was in Laboratory 7 when the alarm sounded. Her datapad interfaced with Kaminoan genetic sequencing equipment as she mapped the compatibility between their cloning matrices and her augmentation protocols. The preliminary results were extraordinary. The Kaminoans' flash growth technology could reduce the augmentation timeline from years to months while maintaining stability. With the right modifications, she could produce combat-ready enhanced soldiers in a fraction of the time the original Spartan program had required. But those promising calculations evaporated when Lama Su's voice crackled through the laboratory's comm system. "Dr. Halsey, please report to Conference Room Alpha immediately. We have unexpected visitors." The tone in his voice told Halsey everything she needed to know. Not guests, not clients, complications. She arrived at the conference room to find Lama Su and 3 other Kaminoan administrators standing rigid with barely concealed tension. Through the room's wide viewport, she could see a Republic vessel, sleek, elegant, bearing the insignia of what her datapad identified as the Galactic Senate, settling onto a landing platform under heavy rain. "They're demanding a full facility inspection," Lama Su said without preamble. "Senator Palpatine's office has questions about unusual activity and unauthorized technology signatures detected in our systems. Dr. Halsey, I suspect your arrival did not go as unnoticed as we hoped." Halsey's mind raced. 3 days. That's all they'd had to study her data, to begin understanding what the Spartan program could offer. Not nearly enough time to integrate her into their operations seamlessly. "What have you told them?" "Nothing yet, but they're accompanied by a Jedi." Lama Su's black eyes met hers. "From what we've researched of your specifications, your Spartans are formidable soldiers, but the Jedi are different. They wield the Force, Dr. Halsey. They can sense deception, influence minds, and react to danger before it manifests. If we attempt to hide your presence and they discover the truth, it could void our contract entirely." "Then don't hide us," Halsey said. A plan was already forming, risky, but every option in their situation carried risk. "Tell them exactly what happened. A dimensional anomaly deposited an unknown vessel on your platform. Being cautious administrators, you detained the occupants and have been studying their technology to determine if they pose a threat. You're simply being thorough before deciding whether to contact the Republic." One of the other Kaminoans, a female scientist named Taun Wei, shook her head. "The Jedi will ask questions. They will want to meet you, to examine your Spartans, and if they perceive you as a threat to the Republic, then I'll convince them otherwise," Halsey said with more confidence than she felt. "I've negotiated with admirals, intelligence operatives, and politicians. I can handle one mystical peacekeeper." 10 minutes later, Halsey stood in the main reception hall as the Republic delegation entered. The senator's aides came first, bureaucrats in expensive robes carrying datapads and wearing expressions of administrative authority. Behind them walked a figure that immediately commanded Halsey's full attention. The Jedi was a Zabrak, his face marked with distinctive tattoos and small horns, his robes simple but immaculately maintained. He moved with a fluid grace that reminded Halsey of the Spartans. Economy of motion, constant awareness, readiness without tension. But it was his eyes that struck her most. They held a depth of perception that suggested he was seeing far more than just the physical space around him. "Prime Minister Lama Su," the lead aide said, his voice carrying bureaucratic precision. "I am Sly Moore, representing Chancellor Palpatine's office. This is Jedi Knight Eth Koth, assigned to investigate unusual energy signatures detected in Kamino's orbital space 4 days ago. The Senate would like to ensure that no hostile forces have compromised your facility." Lama Su bowed slightly. "Of course, we welcome any investigation. The energy signature you detected was indeed unusual. A vessel of unknown origin arrived during a severe storm, its crew claiming to have experienced what they describe as a dimensional accident. We have been evaluating their claims and technology to determine the appropriate course of action." Heathcote's gaze shifted immediately to Halsey, and she felt the weight of his attention like a physical presence. "This vessel's crew?" "Dr. Catherine Halsey," she said, stepping forward and extending her hand in what she hoped translated as a peaceful gesture. "And my security detail. We're from a civilization apparently quite far from here. So far that your star charts don't match any we have. The technology that brought us here malfunctioned, and we're trying to determine if there's any way to reverse the process." The Jedi Knight didn't take her hand, but his head tilted slightly, as if listening to something she couldn't hear. "You speak truth, yet I sense complication. Your presence here is no simple accident of navigation." Damn! Either he was reading her body language with impossible precision, or this force ability was real. Halsey shifted tactics immediately. "You're right. The complication is that we're stranded with limited resources in an unknown galaxy, and we need allies to survive. The Kaminoans have been gracious hosts, but I'm aware that our arrival creates problems for them. If the Republic can offer assistance, technology sharing, scientific consultation, anything that might help us understand what happened, I'd be happy to cooperate fully." Sly Moore's expression remained neutral, but she made notes on her datapad. "The Republic is always interested in establishing relations with new civilizations. However, your arrival at this particular facility, at this particular time, raises questions. Kamino's operations are classified, and their location is deliberately kept from public records. Yet you appeared directly above Tipoca City. Coincidence seems unlikely." "Coincidence is all it was," Halsey said flatly. "I had no knowledge of this facility, this planet, or even this galaxy before we crashed through whatever barrier separates our universe from yours. If you're suggesting espionage, I'd point out that spies generally don't announce themselves by tearing holes in reality above their target." Heathcote stepped closer, his eyes never leaving Halsey's face. "You are a scientist, Dr. Halsey. I can sense your curiosity, your analytical mind working through possibilities and probabilities. But I also sense shadow. Decisions made that weigh heavily on your conscience. Tell me, what manner of scientist are you?" The question hung in the air like a blade. Halsey knew instinctively that lying to this Jedi would be futile. He'd already demonstrated an unsettling ability to perceive truth through means she couldn't entirely explain. So she chose honesty, or at least selective truth. "I'm a military scientist," she said. "My specialty is advanced warfare technology and soldier enhancement. In my universe, humanity faces an existential threat from an alien alliance intent on our extinction. I created a program to produce soldiers capable of turning the tide, the Spartans. My security detail are examples of that program's success." "Soldier enhancement," Sly Moore repeated, her stylus pausing on her datapad. "What form does this enhancement take?" "Biological augmentation, cybernetic integration, and advanced powered armor," Halsey said. "The individuals I work with volunteer." The lie came smoothly, practiced over years of justifying the program to oversight committees for procedures that increase their strength, speed, reflexes, and durability far beyond baseline capabilities. The result is a force multiplier, a single enhanced soldier worth dozens of conventional troops. Heathcote's expression darkened. "You speak of manipulating life itself." "Such power is dangerous, Dr. Halsey. In the wrong hands, it could lead to unimaginable suffering." "In the wrong hands, any power leads to suffering," Halsey countered. "But in the right hands, it saves billions. I have made difficult choices, Jedi Koth, choices that haunt me. But every Spartan I created has saved hundreds of lives. When extinction is the alternative, ethics become a luxury you can't always afford. The silence that followed was profound. She could see Sly Moore calculating political ramifications, Lama Su watching nervously, and Eth Koth studying her with an intensity that suggested he was seeing far deeper than her words. Finally, the Jedi spoke. "I would like to meet these Spartans, to understand what you have created." "Of course," Halsey said, gesturing toward the corridor. "Though I should warn you, they're trained to be protective. If they perceive you as a threat to me or their mission, they will respond accordingly." "I am accustomed to danger, Doctor." Halsey led them to the training facility, where the Spartans had established a temporary operations center. Fred, Kelly, Linda, and John stood at attention as they entered. 4 Titans in Mjolnir armor, their presence transforming the space into something resembling a military bunker. Sly Moore actually took a step back. "These are your soldiers." "4 of them," Halsey confirmed. "I've trained dozens more, though they're currently elsewhere." Eth Koth circled the Spartans slowly, his hand resting near, but not on, the lightsaber hanging from his belt. Halsey noted the weapon with interest. A laser blade of some kind contained in an elegant hilt. Primitive compared to UNSC directed energy weapons, but the craftsmanship was exquisite. "I sense no malice," Koth said after a long moment. "Discipline, caution, loyalty to their commander, but also sadness, loss. They are far from home, in a place that feels alien and wrong to them." John, Spartan 117, though Halsey hadn't introduced him by number, spoke for the first time. His voice through the armor's external speakers was calm, measured. "We go where the mission requires, Jedi. And we protect Dr. Halsey. That's all you need to know." "The mission," Koth repeated. "What is your mission now in a galaxy you don't recognize, facing enemies you've never encountered?" "Survival," Halsey interjected before John could respond. "And hopefully, finding a way home. But until then, we need resources, information, and a place to work. The Kaminoans have been generous in offering sanctuary. I would prefer not to disrupt their operations or create problems with the Republic." Sly Moore exchanged a glance with Eth Koth, and Halsey could practically see the political calculations happening. "The Senate will need to review this situation thoroughly. Dr. Halsey, your knowledge and capabilities are concerning. The Republic has protocols for first contact with unknown civilizations, and those protocols require extensive evaluation before any permanent arrangement can be made." "I understand," Halsey said. What she understood was that they wanted to control her, to determine if she could be used or needed to be contained. Standard political maneuvering. "What do you propose?" "Return with us to Coruscant," Sly Moore said. "Present your case to the Senate. If you're as cooperative as you claim, there should be no issue. Your Spartans would, of course, remain here under Kaminoan supervision until your status is clarified." Every instinct Halsey possessed screamed danger. Separated from the Spartans, surrounded by politicians, in an unknown capital city, with no allies and no leverage. That was a prison sentence with diplomatic wrapping. "No," she said simply. Sly Moore's eyebrow raised. "I don't believe you understand. This isn't a request." "And I don't believe you understand," Halsey said, her voice dropping to the cold tone that had made Oni admirals reconsider their positions. "I'm not one of your citizens. Your Senate has no authority over me. If you want cooperation, it will be on mutual terms, not with me in custody and my people held hostage. We stay together, or the Republic gets nothing from us." Eth Koth's hand moved to his lightsaber, not drawing it, but making his position clear. "Dr. Halsey, You stand on a Republic-contracted facility speaking to official representatives of the Senate. Your desires are noted, but ultimately irrelevant. You will— Master Koth, Lama Su interrupted, his voice carrying surprising steel. Dr. Halsey and her people are guests of Kamino under our protection. While we value our relationship with the Republic, we must insist that diplomatic protocols be observed. Forcibly removing guests from our facility would be problematic. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Halsey saw Sly Moore's expression harden, saw Koth's jaw tighten, and realized with cold clarity that she'd just backed the Kaminoans into choosing between their contract and their autonomy, and Lama Su had chosen autonomy. "The Senate will hear of this," Sly Moore said, her voice ice. "Prime Minister, you risk voiding your contract with the Republic. I would reconsider your position very carefully." "We will continue to fulfill our contract as agreed," Lama Su said. "But Kamino has always maintained the right to conduct other business independently. Dr. Halsey's presence does not affect our production schedule or the quality of the soldiers you've commissioned." Koth looked between Halsey and Lama Su, and she could see him reading the situation, the alliance forming before his eyes, the complication this represented for the Republic's plans. "You make a dangerous choice, Prime Minister. Forces are moving in this galaxy that you do not fully understand. Aligning with unknowns could place you on the wrong side of history." "Then history will judge us," Lama Su said. The Republic delegation departed 20 minutes later, their ship ascending through Kamino's storms with the kind of aggressive velocity that spoke of controlled fury. Halsey watched them go, her mind already calculating the cascading consequences of what had just happened. "You realize what we've started," she said to Lama Su. The Kaminoan Prime Minister nodded slowly. "A conflict with the Republic was perhaps inevitable once we accepted your proposal. Better to establish our position now than to be caught unprepared later." "Your contract will be honored," Lama Su said. "We will deliver the clone army as specified, but we will also pursue our own interests, beginning with your enhanced soldiers. Dr. Halsey, I believe it's time we moved from theoretical discussions to practical implementation. Show us what Spartans can truly do." Halsey felt a fierce satisfaction settle in her chest. The Kaminoans had chosen her over the Republic. The board was set, the pieces were moving, and she finally had the resources to build something unprecedented in this galaxy. But as she returned to the laboratory with Lama Su, a small voice in the back of her mind whispered warnings. She'd just made enemies of a galactic government. She'd allied with cloners preparing for war. And somewhere out there, a Jedi Knight was reporting to his masters that a dangerous woman with dangerous knowledge had arrived at the clone facility. The consequences would come. They always did. But Catherine Halsey had never run from consequences. She'd created the Spartans knowing full well the moral weight of her choices. She'd sacrificed her soul for humanity's survival. She would do the same again if necessary, even in a galaxy that knew nothing of humanity, of Earth, or of the price she'd already paid for victory. The Kaminoans worked quickly once committed. Within 48 hours of the Republic delegation's departure, Halsey had access to 3 dedicated laboratories, a full genetic engineering suite, and a team of Kaminoan scientists eager to understand her augmentation protocols. They approached the work with the same clinical detachment she'd shown during the original Spartan 2 program, viewing the modifications not as violations of life, but as optimization of biological machinery. It was refreshing in a darkly familiar way. The carbide ceramic ossification process is elegant, Tanwi observed. her elongated fingers scrolling through Halsey's technical documentation on a holographic display, bonding the skeletal structure at the molecular level to increase density and durability. But the rejection rate concerns me. Even with your refined protocols, approximately 15% of subjects experience fatal complications during this phase. Which is why candidate selection is critical, Halsey replied, adjusting parameters on a simulation running across multiple screens. The Jango Fett genome shows exceptional resilience. His clones should handle the augmentation better than the original Spartan candidates did. We were working with children whose bodies were still developing. Here we can begin with adult physiology and use your flash growth technology to introduce the modifications during accelerated development. She pulled up a comparative analysis, Spartan 2 augmentation timeline versus her proposed Kaminoan enhanced process. Instead of years of recovery and training between procedures, we integrate everything during the growth phase. The clone develops with augmentations already in place. By the time they reach maturity, their body has adapted completely. Lama Su, observing from across the laboratory, made a contemplative sound. Ingenious. But this requires precise timing and dosage control. An error of even a few percentage points during growth acceleration could result in catastrophic failure. Then we don't make errors, Halsey said flatly. We run simulations until the success rate reaches acceptable levels. We test on small batches, we iterate, refine, and perfect. That's how science works, Prime Minister. What remained unspoken was the darker truth, that acceptable levels still meant casualties, that even optimized her process would kill a percentage of the candidates. But the Kaminoans understood. They'd been breeding and engineering life for millennia. They knew that progress had costs. It was Tan Wei who finally asked the question Halsey had been anticipating. Dr. Halsey, in your original program, you used human children, volunteers, you said. But the documentation you've provided shows extensive psychological conditioning, memory modification, and what appears to be abduction. Halsey met the Kaminoans' black eyes without flinching. Yes, we took children with specific genetic markers, superior strength, intelligence, aggression tempered by empathy. We took them from their families, told them they were special, and trained them to be weapons. Many didn't survive the process. Those who did became humanity's greatest defenders. She paused. I don't expect forgiveness for those choices, but I'd make them again if the alternative was extinction. We do not judge, Lama Su said. We merely seek to understand your methodology. The Jedi would find such practices abhorrent. They speak much of choice and destiny. But we are scientists. We understand that evolution, whether natural or directed, requires sacrifice. The Jedi, Halsey said, latching onto the opportunity to gather intelligence. Tell me about them. Koth mentioned the Force, and I've seen references in your data networks, but I need to understand what I'm dealing with. Are they truly capable of what the records suggest? Tan Wei brought up a holographic display showing various Jedi in action. Warriors deflecting blaster fire with laser swords, moving objects without touching them, leaping impossible distances. The Force is an energy field that permeates the galaxy. Those sensitive to it can manipulate physical matter, perceive the future, influence minds. The Jedi Order trains Force sensitives from childhood, teaching them to serve as peacekeepers and guardians of the Republic. Halsey studied the footage with growing concern. The implications were staggering. Precognition, telekinesis, mind control. That's not mysticism, that's a fundamental force of nature this galaxy has access to that mine doesn't. She turned to Lama Su. Can it be measured, quantified? The Jedi test for midi-chlorians, microscopic organisms in the bloodstream that facilitate force connection, Lama Su explained. Higher midi-chlorian counts correlate with stronger force sensitivity. Jango Fett's midi-chlorian count is average. His clones will not be force sensitive. But could they be? Halsey's mind was already racing ahead. Could we enhance midi-chlorian production? Introduce them artificially? If the force is biological in origin? It is not so simple, Tan Wei interrupted. Midi-chlorians are not merely organisms. They are symbionts connected to something greater. Artificial introduction has been attempted. The results were unstable. Halsey filed that away for future investigation. If the force could be weaponized, the tactical advantages would be enormous. But that was long-term research. Right now, she needed to focus on the immediate problem, creating enhanced soldiers before the Republic decided to take more direct action. As if summoned by her thoughts, an alarm chimed through the facility. Lama Su's expression tightened as he accessed a comm panel. Prime Minister, we have multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace. Republic Navy identifiers, 3 Acclamator-class assault ships, and supporting frigates. Halsey felt ice settle in her stomach. That's not an inspection force. No, Lama Su agreed. That is an occupation fleet. They rushed to the command center, where holographic displays showed the Republic vessels establishing orbital positions around Kamino. The tactical formation was unmistakable. These ships were prepared for planetary assault, with transport capacity for thousands of soldiers. Incoming transmission, a Kaminoan technician announced. The hologram that appeared showed a human male in Republic military uniform, his face weathered and expression stern. Kaminoan facility Tipoca City. This is Admiral Wolf Yularen of the Republic Navy. By order of the Galactic Senate, you are to surrender all personnel, technology, and facilities related to the unauthorized military research currently being conducted in violation of Republic security protocols. Comply immediately or face seizure by force. Lama Su's voice remained calm despite the threat. Admiral, Kamino is a sovereign world engaged in lawful commerce. The Republic has no authority to seize our facilities. Your contract with the Republic grants us significant oversight authority, Yularen replied. The presence of unknown military assets and refusal to cooperate with Senate representatives constitutes a breach of that contract. You have 1 hour to comply. The transmission cut. Halsey's mind shifted into crisis management mode, the same cold calculation that had served her during Covenant attacks on colony worlds. What are your defensive capabilities? Minimal, Lama Su admitted. Kamino has always relied on secrecy, not military strength. We have orbital defense platforms, but they're designed for deterring pirates, not capital ships, against a Republic fleet. He didn't finish the sentence. They're not going to destroy the facility, Halsey said, thinking aloud. They've invested too much in the clone army to risk losing your infrastructure. This is a coercion play. Show overwhelming force, demand surrender, secure the facility intact. Which means they'll send boarding parties, Fred's voice came through the command center's comm system. The Spartans had been monitoring from their position near the laboratories. Doctor, we can't hold off a full planetary assault. 4 of us against thousands? Even we have limits. I'm not asking you to fight an army, Fred, Halsey replied, but we need leverage, something that makes the Republic think twice about pushing this confrontation. She turned to Lama Su. The clone army you're building for them, how far along is production? We have approximately 2,000 units in various stages of development, Lama Su said. Not yet mature, but accelerated aging means they could be combat-ready within months. Could you stop production? Completely? Lama Su's eyes widened slightly, the most emotion Halsey had seen from him. Yes, but doing so would void our contract irrevocably. The Republic could claim breach and seize the facility through legal channels rather than military ones. Only if there's Republic left to file the claim, Halsey said coldly. Prime Minister, I've studied your political situation. This galaxy is on the brink of civil war. The separatist movement, corporate interests opposing Senate taxation, entire sectors threatening succession. The Republic needs an army to hold itself together. Without your clones, they're facing potential collapse. You propose we hold the clone army hostage, Tan Wei said, her tone suggesting she understood the implications perfectly. I propose we remind the Republic that Kamino isn't some backwater. They can bully with a show of force, Halsey said. They need you more than you need them. Make them understand that. Lama Su was silent for a long moment. Then he turned to his communication technicians. Send a response to Admiral Yularen. Inform him that any attempt to board Tipoca City will result in immediate termination of all clone production, complete genetic destruction of all current units, and sterilization of growth facilities. We will trigger a facility-wide biological failsafe that renders the entire operation unusable. Prime Minister, such a failsafe doesn't exist, one technician objected. Then create one in the transmission logs, Lama Su said sharply. Make it appear we've had this capability all along. The Admiral doesn't need to know we're improvising. Halsey felt a surge of respect for the Kaminoan. Beneath that clinical exterior was a strategic mind that understood leverage and wasn't afraid to use it. They'd chosen well in allying with each other. The response went out. 30 tense minutes followed, enough time for the Republic forces to analyze the threat, debate options, and hopefully reach the conclusion Halsey was counting on. When Admiral Yularen's hologram reappeared, his expression had shifted from stern authority to barely controlled frustration. Prime Minister, if you destroy the clone army, you'll be in violation of the most significant military contract in Republic history. The legal consequences alone will be irrelevant if we're already being seized by force, Lama Su interrupted. Admiral, we are willing to honor our contract and maintain cooperation with the Republic, but we will not be subjected to military occupation. Dr. Halsey and her team are scientists conducting research that does not interfere with our obligations to you. If the Senate has concerns, we are willing to address them through diplomatic channels, not at gunpoint. Yularen's jaw worked silently. Halsey could practically see him running calculations. The political fallout of losing the clone army versus the risk of allowing an unknown military asset to operate independently. The Republic was already stretched thin, preparing for potential conflict with the Separatists. Losing Kamino's production capacity could be catastrophic. The Senate will want guarantees, Yularen finally said. Regular inspections, full transparency on any research not directly related to the clone contract, and Dr. Halsey will need to submit to Republic intelligence screening. Acceptable, Lama Su said before Halsey could object, with the caveat that inspections are scheduled in advance and don't interfere with production timelines. Dr. Halsey will cooperate with reasonable intelligence inquiries, but she and her team remain under Kaminoan jurisdiction, not Republic custody. Another long pause. Halsey held her breath. The Senate won't like this, Yularen said. The Senate rarely likes anything, Lama Su replied with what might have been Kaminoan humor. Stand by for further instructions, and Prime Minister, don't make me regret this. The transmission ended. The Republic fleet remained in orbit, but the immediate threat of assault had passed. Halsey released a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "That bought us time," she said, "but they'll be watching everything now. Every move we make, every experiment we run." "Then we shall be circumspect," Lama Su said. "The laboratories conducting your enhanced soldier research will be classified as experimental cloning methodology, technically true but vague enough to avoid scrutiny. Your Spartans will be designated as security consultants, and we will accelerate our timeline." "How fast can you produce a functional prototype?" Halsey asked. Tawn Wee consulted her datapad. "With your augmentation protocols integrated into the flash growth process, 60 days to maturity, assuming no complications. But that's working with a single candidate for a full unit." "Start with 5, Halsey said. "If the process works, we can scale up. But I need proof of concept before the Republic sends their next inspection team." She turned to Lama Su. "And we need to prepare for the possibility that they won't accept any compromise. If they come back with a larger fleet, with Jedi assault teams, then we will deal with that when it comes," Lama Su said. "For now, Dr. Halsey, you have work to do. Create your enhanced soldiers. Prove that Kamino's alliance with you is worth the political complications." As the command center staff returned to normal operations and the Republic fleet settled into a blockade orbit, Halsey made her way back to the laboratories. The Spartans fell in around her, silent, protective, waiting for her signal. "This is going to get worse before it gets better," Kelly observed over their private channel. "It always does," Halsey replied. "But we've faced worse odds. The Covenant had overwhelming technological superiority, billions of soldiers, and absolute commitment to humanity's extinction. We're still here." "The Covenant didn't have space wizards with laser swords," Fred pointed out. "Then we'll adapt," Halsey said. "The same way we always have." In the laboratory, Kaminoan scientists were already preparing the first candidate for enhanced cloning. Jango Fett's genetic template, modified with her augmentation protocols, began its accelerated growth in a specialized chamber. Halsey watched through the transperistele as the embryo took shape, faster than nature intended, guided by science that bridged 2 universes. 60 days. In 60 days, she'd know if this galaxy could produce Spartans, and then the real complications would begin. The Jedi arrived exactly 42 days into the augmentation cycle. Halsey was reviewing cellular stability reports when the facility's proximity alarms activated. Not the aggressive military alert from the Republic fleet's arrival, but the subtler warning that indicated high-priority visitors. Through the laboratory windows, she watched a small diplomatic shuttle descend through Kamino's perpetual storms, its landing profile suggesting pilots who'd made this journey before. "Jedi transport," Tawn Wee confirmed, her voice carrying across the comm system. 3 signatures aboard. Prime Minister Lama Su is moving to intercept, but they're requesting to speak with you specifically, Dr. Halsey. "Of course they are," Halsey muttered. She'd known this confrontation was inevitable. The Republic's inspection teams had been thorough but superficial. Military officers checking production quotas, Senate representatives verifying contract compliance. But the Jedi were different. They could sense things, perceive truths that instruments couldn't measure. If they discovered the full scope of what she was building here. "Fred, Kelly, Linda, with me," Halsey ordered. "John, stay with the labs. If anything goes wrong, your priority is protecting the research data." "Understood," John 117's voice came back immediately. The certainty in his tone steadied her. Whatever happened in the next hour, the Spartans would adapt. The Jedi were waiting in the main conference hall when Halsey arrived. 3 of them this time. Not Eth Koth, but different faces representing different aspects of the Order's interest in Kamino. The first was a Keldor, his breathing mask marking him as Master Plo Koon, according to Halsey's rapidly updating database. The second was human, older, with graying hair and a weathered face that spoke of decades in service. Jedi Master Halsey. The third was younger, a Togruta female whose mantrals and headtails marked her as Shakti. Lama Su stood with them, his posture neutral but his black eyes carrying a warning when they met Halsey's. These Jedi were more important than Koth had been. High Council members. Their presence here meant the Republic was taking this situation very seriously indeed. Dr. Halsey, Plo Koon's voice resonated through his mask with an odd mechanical quality. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. I am Master Plo Koon. These are Masters Teen and T. We've been asked by the Council to assess the situation here on Kamino, specifically regarding your presence and your research. Halsey gestured to the conference table. Then let's assess. What would you like to know? They sat, and Halsey felt the weight of 3 sets of eyes studying her with disturbing intensity. She'd faced hostile interrogations before, Oni debriefings after controversial operations, civilian oversight committees questioning her methods. But this was different. These 3 weren't just reading her words and body language. They were reading something deeper. Master Koth reported that you are developing enhanced soldiers, Shakti said, her voice surprisingly gentle. The Council is troubled by this. We've seen what happens when beings attempt to improve upon life through artificial means. The results are rarely as beneficial as the creators imagine. With respect, Master T, you've also seen what happens when civilizations face existential threats without adequate defenses, Halsey countered. I'm not enhancing soldiers for conquest or oppression. I'm creating capabilities that didn't exist before because without them, entire populations die. That was true in my universe, and from what I've learned of your galaxy, it's becoming true here as well. Halsey leaned forward, his expression thoughtful. You speak of the coming conflict, the tensions between the Republic and the Separatists. I speak of inevitability, Halsey said. Your Senate ordered 10,000 clone soldiers. Governments don't commission armies that size for peacekeeping operations. Someone with significant political power expects a war, and they're preparing for it. The only question is whether the Republic will have the best possible soldiers when that war comes. And you believe your enhanced clones would be superior to standard clones? Plo Koon asked. I don't believe it. I know it, Halsey said flatly. I've seen what augmented soldiers can accomplish. A single Spartan is worth dozens of conventional troops, not through better training or equipment alone, but through fundamental biological and cybernetic superiority. Faster reflexes, greater strength, enhanced durability, the ability to process tactical information and adapt to changing battlefield conditions at speeds normal soldiers can't match. She pulled up holographic data on the conference table, combat footage from the Spartans' engagements against Covenant forces. The Jedi watched in silence as armored figures moved through impossible situations, surviving encounters that should have killed them, achieving objectives that conventional forces would have considered suicide missions. Impressive, Shakti admitted, but also troubling. Dr. Halsey, these soldiers of yours, do they have choice? Can they refuse missions, leave your service? The question struck at the heart of everything Halsey had built, everything she'd sacrificed. She met Shakti's eyes and chose honesty. No, they were taken as children, trained from the age of 6, augmented when their bodies could survive the procedures. They serve because it's all they know. They're loyal because we made them loyal. She paused, and before you pass judgment, Understand that every single one of them has saved more lives than I can count. Without the Spartans, humanity would have been extinct decades ago. The greater good, Plo Koon said softly. A dangerous philosophy, Doctor. We've seen many beings justify terrible acts through that reasoning. And I've seen beings die in their billions because no one was willing to make terrible choices, Halsey fired back. You wear those robes, carry those lightsabers, and speak of philosophy from a position of power. But power requires difficult decisions. The Jedi Order takes Force-sensitive children from their families, trains them from infancy, forbids them attachments. Don't lecture me about choice when your own organization operates on similar principles. The silence that followed was profound. Halsey saw Shakti's expression flicker with something that might have been recognition, saw Saesee Teen's thoughtful nod. But it was Plo Koon who responded. You're not entirely wrong, he admitted. The Jedi do make sacrifices in service to the greater good. But there is a fundamental difference, Dr. Halsey. We teach our younglings that they are part of something greater than themselves, that the Force guides them toward balance. Your Spartans serve because they were given no alternative. They serve because I gave them purpose, Halsey said. Without the augmentations, those children would have lived ordinary lives and died in the Covenant's genocide. Instead, they became heroes. They became legends. They became the reason humanity survived long enough to have this conversation across dimensional barriers. She stood, placing her hands on the conference table. Masters, I understand your concerns, but I'm not asking for the Jedi's approval. I'm not asking the Republic for permission. The Kaminoans have made their choice, and I'm working within the framework they've provided. If the Senate wants to terminate their clone contract over this, that's their decision. But they don't get to dictate my research while simultaneously benefiting from Kamino's facilities. Lama Su spoke for the first time since the conversation began. Dr. Halsey's work is being conducted independently of our Republic contract. The clone army progresses on schedule. There is no conflict of interest. Unless her enhanced soldiers are integrated into that army, Saesee Teen pointed out, which would fundamentally alter what the Republic contracted for. Then the Republic should consider whether they want fundamentally superior soldiers or merely adequate ones, Halsey said. When the war you're all pretending won't happen finally starts, every advantage will matter. The Separatists aren't going to fight fair. Why should the Republic? Plo Koon stood, his movements carrying the weight of long consideration. Dr. Halsey, the Council would like to propose an arrangement. Continue your research, but allow Jedi oversight. Let us monitor your progress. Ensure that these enhanced soldiers you're creating don't become weapons of oppression. In exchange, the Republic will cease its blockade of Kamino and recognize your work as legitimate scientific inquiry. It was a trap dressed as compromise. Halsey saw it immediately. Jedi oversight meant Jedi interference. Questions about ethics, limitations on research, restrictions on deployment. They'd turn her Spartans into leashed guard dogs, neutering everything that made them effective. No, Halsey said simply. Shakti's expression showed genuine surprise. Doctor, we're offering you protection from Republic action, recognition of your work. All we ask is transparency. You're asking for control, Halsey interrupted. Transparency is just the first step toward regulation, which becomes restriction, which ultimately becomes prohibition. I've dealt with oversight committees before, Masters. I know how this story ends. She crossed her arms. My research continues independently. The Kaminoans maintain their sovereignty, and the Republic gets its clone army as contracted. That's the only arrangement I'll accept. Plo Koon's head tilted slightly. You realize this makes you and the Kaminoans adversaries of the Republic. It makes us independent operators in a galaxy that apparently values centralized authority over innovation. Halsey corrected, "There's a difference." The three Jedi exchanged glances, some form of silent communication that Halsey suspected involved their Force abilities. Finally, Plo Koon spoke again. "The Council will not be pleased with this outcome, but we are not here to impose the Republic's will through force. That would make us no better than the tyranny we oppose." He looked at Halsey with what might have been respect. "You're a formidable woman, Dr. Halsey. I hope your confidence in your work is justified, because if these enhanced soldiers of yours become instruments of suffering, the responsibility will fall on you alone." "It always has," Halsey said quietly. "I've carried that weight for longer than you know, Master Koon. A few more tons won't break me." The Jedi departed with formal courtesy but unmistakable tension. As their shuttle lifted back into Kamino's storms, Halsey felt Fred move to her side. "That could have gone better," the Spartan observed. "Could have gone worse too," Halsey replied. "They didn't bring an army. They didn't try to shut us down by force. They're still hoping for cooperation, which means we have time." "Time for what?" Kelly asked over the comm. Halsey looked toward the laboratories where the first enhanced clones were approaching maturity. 18 days remained in the accelerated growth cycle. 18 days until she'd know if her methods could produce Spartans in this galaxy. "Time to prove we were right," Halsey said. "About everything." She returned to the lab and pulled up the latest medical scans. The 5 candidates were developing faster than standard clones, but slower than normal Kaminoan production. The augmentation process required precision that couldn't be rushed. Their skeletal structures were crystallizing with the ceramic carbide enhancement. Neural pathways were multiplying and reorganizing according to the modified templates. Muscle tissue was developing with density far exceeding baseline human norms. Every indicator showed the process was working, but Halsey had learned long ago that indicators could lie. The real test would come when these enhanced clones emerged from their chambers, when they stood and moved and demonstrated whether her genius had translated across dimensional barriers. Taun We approached with her ever-present datapad. "Dr. Halsey, we're seeing some anomalies in Candidate 3's development. Midi-chlorian production is elevated above normal levels." Halsey's attention sharpened. "How elevated?" "Approximately 40% higher than the Jango Fett baseline. Not enough to indicate force sensitivity in standard testing, but unusual nonetheless." Taun We pulled up the cellular analysis. "The augmentation process appears to be stimulating midi-chlorian reproduction. We're uncertain if this is beneficial or problematic." Force sensitivity. The thought sent Halsey's mind racing through possibilities. If the augmentation process could enhance midi-chlorian production, could she create force-sensitive Spartans? Warriors who combined superhuman physiology with the mystical powers the Jedi wielded? The tactical applications would be revolutionary. The ethical implications would be catastrophic. "Monitor Candidate 3 closely," Halsey ordered. "If midi-chlorian levels continue rising, isolate that growth chamber. We need to understand what's happening before we proceed with larger-scale production." "Understood." "And Dr. Halsey?" Taun We's black eyes met hers. "The Jedi will sense this development if it continues. Force sensitivity is impossible to hide from them." "Then we'll deal with that complication when it arrives," Halsey said. "One crisis at a time, Taun We." She spent the next 6 hours analyzing Candidate 3's development, comparing it against the other 4 and against standard clone baselines. The midi-chlorian elevation was consistent and accelerating. By all projections, Candidate 3 would emerge with force sensitivity equivalent to a low-level Jedi initiate. Not enough to be a powerful force user, but enough to be noticed, and enough to prove that Halsey's augmentation process didn't just create better soldiers, it created something this galaxy had never seen before. At hour 23, her datapad chimed with an alert. John's voice came through a moment later, carrying tension she recognized immediately. "Doctor, we have a situation. Unauthorized access attempt on Laboratory 7. Security systems engaged, but whoever's trying to break in knows what they're doing." Halsey was moving before he finished speaking, the Spartans materializing around her as they converged on the laboratory complex. They reached Laboratory 7 to find Kamino security personnel exchanging fire with figures in the dark armor. Not Jedi, not Republic soldiers, but something else entirely. Bounty hunters Halsey's mind supplied from her database research. Or perhaps separatist operatives. Someone had learned about her work and decided to steal it. "Fred, secure the perimeter," Halsey ordered. "Kelly, get between them and the cloning chambers. John, with me." The Spartans moved like a precision instrument, their training and augmentations allowing them to process the tactical situation and respond in seconds. Fred's assault rifle roared, severing the intruder's cover with controlled bursts. Kelly's shields flared as she positioned herself between the attackers and the vulnerable growth chambers. John moved to Halsey's side, his armor a wall of protection. The firefight was brief and brutal. The intruders were skilled, but they'd never faced Spartans before. Within 90 seconds, 3 were down, 2 more retreating toward their extraction point, and the last was trapped between Fred and Linda's crossfire. "Surrender!" Fred's voice boomed through his external speakers. "You've lost." The trapped intruder, a Trandoshan from the reptilian features visible through his cracked helmet, laughed with a hissing sound. "You think this was about stealing research? We were paid to send a message, off-worlder. Kamino's protection is an illusion. The Republic can't save you. The Jedi won't save you. And when the real players in this galaxy decide they want what you're building, all your armored soldiers won't be enough to stop them." Before Fred could respond, the Trandoshan triggered something in his armor. The resulting explosion was small but effective, a shaped charge that ensured nothing identifiable remained. Suicide protocol. Whoever had sent these intruders didn't want them captured. Halsey stood in the smoke-filled corridor looking at the bodies and the damage and felt the familiar weight of escalation settling on her shoulders. The Republic knew about her work. The Jedi were watching. And now someone else, someone willing to send suicide operatives, had added themselves to the equation. The galaxy was taking notice of what Catherine Halsey was building on Kamino, and as she returned to Laboratory 7 to check on the enhanced clones, still developing, still vulnerable, still 18 days from maturity, she realized with absolute certainty that those 18 days were going to be the longest of her life. Because somewhere out there, forces were moving, plans were forming, and the storm gathering around Kamino made the planet's perpetual tempests look like gentle rain. The attack changed everything. Within hours, Kamino's security protocols had been overhauled. Republic Navy vessels had repositioned into tighter orbital patterns, and Lama Su had authorized the activation of defense systems the facility had kept dormant for decades. But Halsey knew better than to find comfort in reactive measures. Whoever had sent those operatives had achieved their objective, not theft, but reconnaissance. They'd seen the laboratories, confirmed the rumors, and mapped the facility's defenses. The next attack would be far more sophisticated. She was reviewing enhanced security footage when her datapad chimed with an unexpected priority alert. An incoming transmission, routed through channels that shouldn't exist. encrypted with protocols that predated the Republic's current communication standards. The message was simple. Dr. Halsey, I believe we have mutual interests to discuss. The Jedi limit what you could achieve. The Republic fears what you represent. I offer a third path. If you're willing to listen, respond to these coordinates. Come alone. I promise you'll find the conversation illuminating. Count Dooku. Halsey stared at the message, her mind immediately cataloging everything she'd learned about Count Dooku during her research into galactic politics. Former Jedi Master, aristocrat from Sereno, public face of the separatist movement, a man who'd walked away from the Jedi Order because he found their methods inadequate for the challenges facing the galaxy. A man who, according to fragmentary intelligence, might be far more dangerous than his public persona suggested. Absolutely not, Fred said flatly when she showed him the message. It's obviously a trap. Obviously, Halsey agreed, but that doesn't mean it isn't also an opportunity. Dooku represents the Separatists, a faction with resources, industrial capacity, and motivation to oppose the Republic. If he's reaching out, it means we're valuable enough to court rather than eliminate. Or he wants to eliminate you somewhere less defended than Kamino, Kelly pointed out. Then I'll be very careful, Halsey said. She was already planning the approach. What equipment to bring, which data to have accessible, how to position the meeting for maximum advantage. John, you'll accompany me at a distance. Close enough for rapid extraction, but far enough that Dooku doesn't feel threatened. Fred, Kelly, Linda, maintain facility security. If this goes wrong, protecting the research is the priority. Doctor, John began. That's an order, Master Chief. Halsey cut him off with the formal designation she rarely used. The weight of it silenced objections. The Spartans might question her decisions, but they'd been trained since childhood to follow orders when the situation demanded it. The coordinates led to an abandoned mining station in Kamino's northern hemisphere, a relic from centuries past when the planet's resources had been exploited before the Kaminoans perfected cloning technology. Halsey took a small transport, her datapad linked to John's armor systems, recording everything for later analysis. Count Dooku was waiting in what had once been the station's command center, now empty except for emergency lighting and the sound of rain hammering against deteriorating hull plates. He stood with his back to her, hands clasped behind him, his posture radiating aristocratic composure. Dr. Halsey, he said without turning, thank you for accepting my invitation. I was uncertain if scientific curiosity or survival instinct would prove stronger. Both, Halsey said flatly. You sent an encrypted message through channels that suggest significant intelligence assets. That implies either separatist resources or something more personal. I'm here to determine which. Dooku turned, and Halsey got her first clear look at him. Older, distinguished, with a bearing that spoke of wealth and breeding refined over generations. But it was his eyes that struck her, intelligent, calculating, and carrying depths that suggested layers beneath the public persona. Direct. I appreciate that, Dooku said. Let me be equally direct. The Republic is dying, Dr. Halsey. Not from external threat, but from internal corruption. The Senate has become a marketplace for corporate interests. The Jedi have become enforcers for a broken system, and the people, trillions of beings across thousands of worlds, suffer while bureaucrats debate procedure. And the Separatists offer what, exactly? Corporate governance instead of democratic corruption. Halsey's tone was skeptical. I've read the Separatist rhetoric, Count. It's dressed in populist language, but the leadership is trade federation, banking clan, and techno-union. Organizations motivated by profit, not principle. You're not wrong, Dooku admitted with surprising honesty. The Separatist Council serves their own interests, but they also serve as a counterbalance to Republic stagnation. Sometimes, Doctor, reform requires destruction. The galaxy needs to be reminded that governments exist at the consent of the governed, and that consent can be withdrawn. He gestured to a makeshift table where holographic projections showed galactic star charts. I've researched your history, your work with these Spartans. You created warriors to save your species from extinction. You made choices others found abhorrent because the alternative was death. Tell me, do you believe the Republic, as it currently exists, could survive the kind of existential threat you faced? Halsey studied the star charts, seeing systems marked with different colors: Republic blue, Separatist red, neutral gray, and unsettling amounts of contested purple. No, she said honestly. From what I've seen, the Republic would collapse into committee meetings, while the threat consumed entire sectors. Bureaucracy doesn't move fast enough to handle extinction-level crises. Precisely, Dooku said, which is why beings like us, pragmatists who understand that survival requires difficult choices, are essential. Dr. Halsey, I'm not asking you to join the Separatists. I'm offering you independence, resources, protection from Republic interference. In exchange, I ask only that you continue your work. And when you inevitably want to use my enhanced soldiers for your war, then we'll negotiate terms, Dooku said simply. I'm not interested in enslaving your creations or stealing your research. I'm interested in ensuring that when the galaxy fractures, and it will fracture, Doctor, the momentum is unstoppable. There are individuals capable of shaping what emerges from the chaos. Halsey moved closer to the holographic display, her mind working through implications and calculations. You're Sith, she said quietly. It wasn't a question. Dooku's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Surprise that she deduced it, perhaps, or respect for her analytical capabilities. What makes you say that? The Jedi I've spoken with radiate a certain presence, calm authority mixed with philosophical certainty. You radiate something different, controlled power, focused intensity, and there's a hunger in you that the Jedi don't have, ambition that goes beyond serving the Force. She met his gaze directly. The historical records mention the Sith as the Jedi's ancient enemies, thought extinct. But extinction is rarely absolute, is it? No, Dooku said slowly. It rarely is. You're perceptive, Dr. Halsey. Yes, I've embraced what the Jedi call the dark side. I've rejected their limiting philosophy in favor of something more honest. Power for its own sake is empty, but power directed toward meaningful change. That's how civilizations evolve. And your master? Halsey asked. Because the Sith operate in pairs according to the records. An apprentice doesn't invite potential assets to secret meetings without the master's knowledge. Dooku smiled, the first genuine expression she'd seen from him. My master is aware of this conversation. In fact, he's quite interested in you. Your arrival represents an anomaly, Doctor. The Force should have sensed your approach, yet you appeared without warning. Your technology operates on principles our galaxy doesn't recognize. You're an unknown variable in calculations that have been centuries in the making. Which makes me either valuable or dangerous, Halsey said. Both, Dooku confirmed. Which is why I'm here to determine which aspect dominates. Dr. Halsey, the galaxy is moving toward war, not the limited conflicts you've seen in your research, but total war spanning thousands of systems. The Republic will deploy the clone army Kamino is building. The Separatists will field droid legions numbering in the billions. Entire planets will burn. He paused, letting the weight of that settle. Your enhanced soldiers could tip the balance, or they could remain a footnote, A fascinating experiment destroyed when the Republic finally decides Kamino is too dangerous to leave independent. The choice is yours. Halsey considered the offer with cold pragmatism. Dooku was Sith, followers of a dark philosophy that opposed everything the Jedi represented. Allying with him would make her enemies of both the Republic and the Jedi Order. But remaining independent on Kamino meant relying on Kaminoan protection and the increasingly thin fiction that her research was separate from galactic politics. "What exactly are you proposing?" she asked. "A facility," Dooku said, "hidden from both Republic and Separatist oversight, fully equipped for your research with access to genetic samples from across the galaxy, unrestricted funding and resources, and most importantly, security, my personal guarantee that neither the Jedi nor any other force will interfere with your work." "In exchange for what?" "Knowledge," Dooku said. "I want to understand your augmentation process. Not to replicate it, that's your expertise, but to learn if it can be adapted. The Jedi take Force-sensitive children and train them. I want to know if Force sensitivity can be enhanced through your methods. If we could create warriors who combine biological augmentation with Force abilities." He didn't need to finish. Halsey understood immediately. Force-sensitive Spartans would be unprecedented. Warriors capable of superhuman physical feats, combined with the mystical powers of the Force. They'd be unstoppable. They'd also be abominations according to Jedi philosophy, violations of everything the Order represented. "I've already seen evidence that augmentation affects midi-chlorian production," Halsey admitted. "One of my current candidates is showing elevated levels, but I don't understand the Force well enough to predict the results." "Then let me provide that understanding," Dooku offered. "I can teach you what the Jedi won't, how the Force truly works, not through their limiting lens of balance and restraint, but as a tool to be mastered and directed. Combined with your scientific expertise, we could create something genuinely revolutionary." It was tempting. Halsey felt the pull of it. Unlimited resources, no oversight, the opportunity to push her research beyond any limitation. But she'd learned long ago that deals made with charismatic leaders in private meetings rarely ended well. "I need time to consider," she said. "Of course," Dooku said smoothly. "But don't take too long, Doctor. Events are accelerating. The Republic's clone army will be ready soon. When it deploys, Kamino's strategic value diminishes significantly. The Senate won't need the Kaminoans anymore, which means they won't need to tolerate your presence. Your window of independence is closing." He handed her a small device, a communication chip coded to encrypted channels. "When you're ready to discuss further, use this. I'll be waiting." Halsey took the device, weighing it in her palm. "Count Dooku, one more question. The attack on my laboratory. Did you send those operatives?" "No," Dooku said, and she believed him. "That was someone else testing your defenses. There are more players in this game than the Republic and Separatists, Doctor. Crime syndicates who'd pay fortunes for your research. Mercenary groups interested in acquiring enhanced soldiers for their own purposes. Even individual Jedi who might decide you're too dangerous to allow to continue." He gestured toward the entrance. "Watch your back, Dr. Halsey. The galaxy has noticed you, and once you're noticed, anonymity becomes impossible." The flight back to Topoka City was silent. John maintained overwatch, his presence a comforting constant in her datapad's tracking system. But Halsey's mind was elsewhere, working through the implications of Dooku's offer. The Sith wanted to use her. The Republic wanted to control her. The Jedi wanted to restrict her. And someone else, still unidentified, wanted to steal or eliminate what she was building. She was trapped in a political situation with no good options. only varying degrees of bad ones. When she returned to the laboratories, Tanwi was waiting with an update that drove all other considerations from her mind. Dr. Halsey, Candidate 3 has entered critical development phase. The midi-chlorian elevation has stabilized at 60% above baseline. More significantly, we're detecting energy fluctuations around the growth chamber, electromagnetic patterns that match force activity signatures. Halsey stared at the monitors showing Candidate 3's vital signs. The clone is manipulating the force while still in accelerated development. Unconsciously, we believe, Tanwi said. But yes, Dr. Halsey, I must stress, if the Jedi sense this, they will come. Force sensitivity is sacred to them. Creating force-sensitive clones through artificial augmentation would be seen as the worst kind of violation. Then we isolate the chamber, Halsey said immediately. Shield it from external force detection. Can that be done? Theoretically, Tanwi said. But it would require specific materials and construction we don't currently have. And Dr. Halsey, even if we succeed in hiding Candidate 3, the other 4 are approaching maturity. In 11 days, they emerge from accelerated growth. What happens then? Halsey looked at her reflection in the transparisteel of the observation window. She looked tired, older, the weight of decisions pressing down on her in a galaxy that wasn't her own, fighting battles she'd never expected to face. But beneath that exhaustion was the same iron determination that had carried her through the creation of the Spartan 2 program. She'd sacrificed everything, her reputation, her relationships, pieces of her soul, to give humanity a chance at survival. She wouldn't stop now. Then, in 11 days, we proved that everything we've done was worth it, Halsey said. Prepare for emergence protocols. And Tanwi, increase security around all chambers. If someone comes for these candidates before they're ready, they'll find that Spartans aren't the only ones willing to fight for what matters. The Kaminoan scientist nodded and returned to work. Halsey remained at the observation window, watching her creations develop in their artificial wombs, and wondered which would destroy her first. The Republic she'd rejected, the Jedi she'd defied, the Sith who wanted to use her, or the enhanced soldiers she was about to unleash on an unsuspecting galaxy. Outside, Kamino's storms raged. Inside, something unprecedented was taking shape, and the countdown to emergence continued. 11 days until the galaxy discovered what happened when Catherine Halsey's genius met the Star Wars universe's cloning technology. 11 days until everything changed. The emergence began ahead of schedule. Halsey was in her quarters reviewing Dooku's communication chip, analyzing its encryption, tracing potential signal pathways, determining if accepting his offer would be strategic necessity or fatal mistake, when alarms shrieked through the facility, not security alerts, medical emergencies. She was running before the details came through her datapad, Fred and Kelly materializing beside her as they sprinted toward Laboratory 7. The corridors blurred past, Kaminoan scientists pressing against walls to let the armored Spartans pass, and Halsey's mind raced through worst-case scenarios: rejection cascade, augmentation failure, cellular breakdown. The deaths she'd tried so hard to minimize catching up to her. They burst into the laboratory to find organized chaos, Kaminoan medical staff surrounding the 5 growth chambers, monitoring equipment screaming contradictory readings, and Tanwi coordinating responses with the cold efficiency of someone who'd faced catastrophic failures before. "What happened?" Halsey demanded. "Candidate 3 triggered early emergence," Tanwi reported, without looking away from her displays. "The force activity we detected yesterday accelerated. The clone appears to be instinctively pushing against the growth chamber constraints." The other 4 responded sympathetically. their development curves spiking in synchronization. Halsey pushed through to the observation monitors. Inside the chambers, she could see movement. The candidates were no longer unconscious embryos in accelerated development, but fully formed beings straining against their containment. Candidate 3's chamber showed actual cracks in the transperistele, energy fluctuations creating visible distortions around it. "They're going to breach," Halsey said. "Emergence protocols require another 11 days of stabilization." Tanwi objected. "If they emerge now, the augmentation integration could be incomplete. Neurological pathways might not have fully developed. Muscle density could be unstable. Or they could be fine," Halsey interrupted. "Tanwi, my original Spartans recovered from augmentation faster than predicted. Enhanced physiology accelerates healing and adaptation. These candidates might be ready earlier than we calculated." A massive impact shook Candidate 3's chamber. The cracks spread like spiderwebs across the transperistele. Whatever was happening inside, the clone was becoming increasingly aware and increasingly desperate to escape containment. "Make the call, Doctor." Lamasu's voice came through the comm system. He was watching from the command center, Halsey realized, monitoring this critical moment. "Emergency termination protocols are available if the candidates have failed, or we proceed with early emergence and accept the risks." Halsey stared at the 5 chambers containing her work, her legacy, her attempt to recreate the Spartan program in an alien galaxy. Termination would be the safe choice. Minimize losses, review the data, start again with refined protocols. That's what a responsible scientist would do. But Catherine Halsey had never been responsible. She'd been effective. "Initiate emergence," she ordered. "All 5 candidates simultaneously. If they're aware enough to fight containment, they're aware enough to survive outside it." Tanwi didn't argue. She input commands with practiced precision, and the growth chambers began their unsealing sequence. Nutrient fluid drained away. Breathing apparatus detached. The transperistele panels retracted with hydraulic hisses, and the first enhanced clone soldiers, created in the Star Wars galaxy, took their first breaths of Kamino's processed air. Candidate 1 emerged first, a perfect physical specimen taller than the standard Jango Fett clones, with muscle definition that spoke to successful augmentation integration. He stood unsteadily, breathing deeply, his eyes opening to reveal awareness that shouldn't exist in a being barely hours old, according to standard development timelines. But these weren't standard clones. The flash training protocols had loaded tactical knowledge, language, basic combat instincts directly into their developing neural pathways, and Halsey's augmentation procedures had enhanced their ability to process that information far beyond normal parameters. Candidate 1 looked directly at Halsey, and she saw intelligence in those eyes. Confusion, yes. Disorientation from sudden awareness, but also focus, purpose, the fundamental drive she'd engineered into the Spartan program, the need to serve, to protect, to excel. "Welcome," Halsey said quietly. "I'm Dr. Halsey. I created you. You are enhanced soldiers, superior to anything this galaxy has produced. Can you understand me?" Candidate 1's mouth moved, testing vocal apparatus. "Yes," he said, his voice rough but functional. "I remember training, combat protocols, weapons systems, but I don't remember learning them." "Flash training," Halsey explained, relief flooding through her. Cognitive function was intact. Information loaded directly into your neural patterns during development. You have the knowledge of a trained soldier despite being hours old. How do you feel physically? Candidate 1 moved experimentally, flexing fingers, shifting weight, testing range of motion. Strong, fast, everything felt sharp, clear. Is this normal? For you, yes. For standard clones, no. Halsey gestured to the other chambers, where candidates 2, 4, and 5 were emerging with similar grace and awareness. You're enhanced, augmented beyond baseline human capability. You are what soldiers could be when biology and technology work in perfect harmony. But it was Candidate 3 who captured everyone's attention. Unlike the others who emerged with physical prowess but otherwise normal appearance, Candidate 3 stepped from his chamber, surrounded by a faint shimmer in the air, energy that made monitoring equipment spike and created visible distortion patterns. The Force, manifesting unconsciously around a being who'd been alive for less than 5 minutes. Candidate 3 looked at his hands, watching objects on nearby tables trembling in response to his attention. What's happening to me? You're Force sensitive, Halsey said, her scientific mind cataloging every detail, even as her heart raced. The augmentation process enhanced your midi-chlorian production beyond predicted levels. You can manipulate the Force, the energy field that permeates this galaxy. With training, you could become something unprecedented. Before she could continue, alarms blared again. Different ones this time. Security breach, multiple contacts, not opportunistic raiders like before, but a coordinated assault, hitting 3 entry points simultaneously. Jedi, Lama Su's voice crackled with tension. 4 Jedi Knights with Republic clone troopers. They're demanding immediate access to Laboratory 7. Dr. Halsey, they sensed Candidate 3's emergence through the Force. They know what you've created. Halsey felt cold calculation settle over her. The Jedi had come to take or destroy what she'd built. Standard procedure when faced with Force-sensitive abominations according to their philosophy. She had minutes at most before they breached the laboratory. Fred, defensive positions, she ordered. The 3 Spartans who'd accompanied her immediately moved to cover entry points. John, get to the laboratory now. Tan Wei, can these candidates fight? Unknown, the Kaminoan said. Flash training included combat protocols, but they've never actually moved, never fired weapons, never faced real... Then they learned today, Halsey cut her off. She turned to Candidate 1. Can you use weapons? Yes, he said without hesitation. MA-5B assault rifle, 40-round magazine, 7.62 millimeter rounds, optimal engagement range. He paused, confusion crossing his features. Why do I know that? Those weapons don't exist here. They do now, Halsey said, gesturing to a storage locker. Fred, arm them. Candidates, you're about to face your first combat engagement. Jedi Knights are coming to take you. If they succeed, they'll either kill you as abominations or imprison you to study what you are. I need to know. Will you fight? The 5 enhanced clones exchanged glances. Some unspoken communication passed between them, perhaps the result of developing simultaneously, of sharing accelerated growth experiences, or simply the natural tendency of soldiers to form unit cohesion. Candidate 1 spoke for them all. You created us. You gave us purpose. We'll fight. Fred distributed weapons with Spartan efficiency. MA-5B rifles, Magnum sidearms, fragmentation grenades. The enhanced clones handled them with the unconscious competence of flash-trained memories made physical. Within 60 seconds, they'd formed a defensive line with overlapping fields of fire. Not perfect, not Spartan-level coordination, but far better than any troops hours old had any right to achieve. The laboratory doors exploded inward with a concussive blast of Force energy. Through the smoke came the Jedi, 4 of them, lightsabers igniting with that distinctive snap hiss, their robes billowing as they moved with superhuman grace. Behind them, Republic clone troopers in white armor advanced with military precision. At the front was a Jedi Halsey recognized from her research, Kit Fisto, a Nautilon master with distinctive head tentacles and a reputation for aggressive combat style. His green lightsaber hummed as he surveyed the laboratory, his expression hardening as he took in the scene. "Dr. Halsey," Fisto said, his voice carrying effortless authority, "stand down. By order of the Jedi Council, you are to cease all research immediately and surrender the Force-sensitive clone you've created. This abomination cannot be permitted to exist." "Abomination?" Halsey stepped forward, her voice ice. "That's what you call scientific advancement? These soldiers represent the pinnacle of what cloning technology can achieve when properly applied. They're not abominations, they're evolution." A second Jedi, a human woman with short, dark hair, shook her head. "You've corrupted the Force itself, Doctor, creating Force sensitivity artificially, combining it with biological weapons engineering. This goes against every principle the Jedi Order upholds." "Then perhaps the Jedi Order's principles are inadequate for the galaxy you actually inhabit," Halsey shot back. "You're commissioning a clone army for a war everyone knows is coming. I've simply made them more effective. Would you prefer soldiers who die in hundreds, or soldiers who survive and win?" "We would prefer soldiers created with consent, not engineered like machines," Kit Fisto said. His lightsaber lowered slightly, not a peaceful gesture but a combat-ready stance. "This is your last warning. Surrender the candidates or we will take them by force." Halsey didn't respond verbally. She simply stepped aside, revealing the 5 enhanced clones standing ready behind her, weapons raised, armorless but radiating lethal capability, and behind them 4 Spartans in Mjolnir armor, their assault rifles tracking the Jedi with mechanical precision. "Master Fisto," Halsey said quietly, "I don't want this fight, but I won't surrender my life's work to dogmatic philosophy. These soldiers have free will, more than your own Jedi younglings taken from families before they can choose. So let's ask them directly. Candidates, do you want to go with the Jedi?" Candidate 1's answer was immediate, "No." "Then I believe we have our answer," Halsey said. "Leave peacefully or learn that Jedi aren't the only warriors in this galaxy worth fearing." The tension crystallized into violence with shocking speed. Kit Fisto moved first, not toward Halsey but toward Candidate 3, recognizing the Force-sensitive as the primary objective. His lightsaber blurred as he closed the distance with Force-enhanced speed. He never reached his target. Fred's assault rifle thundered, sending a burst of rounds directly at Fisto's center mass. The Jedi's lightsaber intercepted them with impossible precision, deflecting the bullets, but not perfectly. UNSC ammunition traveled faster than Star Wars blaster bolts, and even Jedi reflexes struggled to adapt. One round grazed Fisto's shoulder, another scorched past his head close enough to singe his head tentacles. The Jedi Master stumbled, shocked. "What?" Kelly was already moving, her Spartan speed matching his Force enhancement. Her armored fist drove toward his midsection with enough force to shatter bones. Fisto barely managed to interpose his lightsaber, the energy blade sparking against Kelly's shields as she adjusted mid-strike. The other 3 Jedi engaged immediately. Lightsabers clashed against Spartan armor, the energy blades scoring deep gouges but unable to penetrate entirely. Mjolnir's shielding and composite plating holding against weapons designed to cut through nearly anything else. Republic clone troopers opened fire with their blasters, blue energy bolts filling the laboratory with lethal light. And the enhanced clones proved they were worth everything Halsey had sacrificed to create them. They moved with coordination that shouldn't exist in beings hours old, flash training and augmented neural pathways combining to create instinctive tactical awareness. Candidate 1 provided suppressing fire that forced the Republic clones into cover. Candidate 2 moved to flank with speed that blurred, augmented leg muscles propelling him faster than normal humans could track. Candidates 4 and 5 established interlocking fields of fire that turned the laboratory's entrance into a killing zone. But it was Candidate 3 who demonstrated something truly unprecedented. As a Jedi Knight moved to strike him down, the enhanced clone raised his hand instinctively, and the Force responded. Not with trained precision, but with raw, uncontrolled power. The Jedi flew backward as if struck by an invisible hammer, his lightsaber spinning from his grip. Equipment throughout the laboratory rattled and shook. Candidate 3 stared at his hand with something approaching terror. I just thought about stopping him and— "Control it!" Halsey shouted over the chaos. "Channel the feeling. Focus on protecting yourself and your brothers." The battle devolved into brutal close quarters. Fred grappled with Kit Fisto, his Spartan strength matching Force enhancement, in a contest that shattered furniture and cracked floor panels. Linda's sniper rifle, finally deployed after being reserved for precision work, sent rounds through minute gaps in the Jedi's defense, forcing them to dedicate more attention to deflection than offense. John coordinated the enhanced clones, his tactical experience guiding their instinctive movements into something resembling unit cohesion. But the Jedi were masters of their craft, and the Republic clones were well-trained soldiers. The laboratory became a whirlwind of plasma, bullets, Force powers, and superhuman combat. Halsey found herself pressed against equipment, her datapad tracking friendly positions, calculating trajectories and probability curves, even as explosions and energy discharges filled the air around her. A Republic clone trooper broke through toward her position. Before she could react, Candidate 5 intercepted, moving with speed that defied normal physiology, disarming the trooper with brutal efficiency and putting himself between Halsey and danger. "Stay down, Doctor," the enhanced clone said, his voice carrying absolute certainty. "We protect you." Halsey felt something crack inside her chest, not fear but recognition. These enhanced clones, barely hours old, had already internalized the same protective drive she'd seen in her Spartans, the same loyalty, the same willingness to sacrifice. She'd created them, and they'd chosen her. The battle reached its crescendo when Candidate 3's Force abilities manifested with devastating effect. Whether through instinct, desperation, or emerging understanding, the enhanced clone unleashed a wave of telekinetic force that caught 2 Jedi and a dozen Republic clones, hurling them backward through the laboratory entrance into the corridor beyond. The remaining Jedi recognized the shift in tactical balance. Kit Fisto, bleeding from multiple wounds, his lightsaber barely intercepting Fred's relentless assault, made a decisive call. "Retreat! Fall back to secondary positions." The Jedi withdrew with practiced discipline, using Force powers to create barriers and distortions that covered their escape. The Republic clones followed, laying suppressing fire as they pulled back through the shattered entrance. Within seconds, the laboratory fell silent except for the sound of alarms, damaged equipment, and ragged breathing. Halsey stood slowly, surveying the aftermath. The laboratory was ruined, equipment destroyed, research materials scattered, walls scorched by blaster fire and scored by lightsaber strikes. But her enhanced clones stood intact, weapons ready, their augmented bodies having survived their first combat engagement. "Casualties?" she asked. "None," Fred reported. "Several of the enhanced candidates took minor injuries, but nothing their augmented healing can't handle. Doctor, the Jedi will be back with reinforcements." "I know," Halsey said. She looked at the 5 enhanced clones, her proof of concept, her vindication, her latest contribution to military science. "Candidates, you performed admirably. better than I had any right to expect. But Fred's correct. The Jedi won't stop, and now they know exactly what you're capable of. Candidate 1 lowered his rifle. What do we do? It was the question Halsey had been avoiding since this entire situation began. Stay on Kamino and face inevitable Republic assault? Accept Dooku's offer and ally with the Sith? To maintain impossible independence in a galaxy moving toward total war? Before she could answer, Lama Su's voice came through the comm with unusual urgency. Dr. Halsey, we have a situation. Multiple separatist ships have emerged from hyperspace, Providence-class carriers and support vessels. They're demanding landing rights and specifically asking for you. Dr. Halsey, Count Dooku is aboard the flagship. He says it's time to make your choice. Halsey looked around the ruined laboratory, at the Spartans who'd followed her across dimensional barriers, at the enhanced clones she'd created, in desperation and defiance. Outside, Republic forces were regrouping for another assault. In orbit, separatist vessels waited with unknown intentions, and somewhere on Coruscant, the Jedi Council was undoubtedly discussing how to handle the woman who'd corrupted the Force itself. She'd wanted independence. She'd wanted to continue her work without interference. But the galaxy had other plans. Tell Count Dooku, Halsey said slowly, that I'll hear his proposal in person. But the Spartans and enhanced candidates come with me. Non-negotiable. Understood, Lama Su said. Dr. Halsey, it has been illuminating working with you. I hope you find what you're looking for. Halsey heard the finality in his voice. The Kaminoans were cutting ties, maintaining their Republic contract by letting her leave, distancing themselves from the controversy she'd created. Smart politics, cold but smart. Likewise, Prime Minister, Halsey said. Thank you for the opportunity. I hope your clone army serves you well. She turned to her assembled forces, 4 Spartans and 5 enhanced clones, all looking to her for guidance in a galaxy none of them had been born to inhabit. Gather what equipment we can carry, she ordered. We're leaving Kamino. Our future lies elsewhere now. As they moved to comply, Halsey allowed herself one last look at the laboratory where she'd proven her genius could transcend universes. Then she walked toward an uncertain future with the Sith, knowing she was trading one set of complications for another. But Catherine Halsey had never run from complications. She'd built miracles from them. Count Dooku's flagship was a study in controlled menace. The Invisible Hand, a Providence-class carrier that dwarfed even UNSC frigates, hummed with power as Halsey's transport approached through Kamino's orbital space. Republic vessels maintained their blockade positions but didn't engage, creating an uneasy standoff while Separatist and Republic forces watched each other across the void. Politics through military presence. Halsey understood it perfectly. The hangar bay they landed in was cavernous, designed to accommodate entire wings of starfighters and assault craft. Battle droids stood at attention in orderly ranks, skeletal constructs with disturbingly cheerful voices that clashed with their lethal purpose. Halsey cataloged everything: troop capacity, defensive positions, potential escape routes, old habits from years of Oni briefings and Covenant incursions. Dooku waited at the base of the landing ramp, flanked by 2 bodyguards in Mandalorian armor. Beskar plating she recognized from her research. Expensive, effective, a statement about his resources and connections. Dr. Halsey, Dooku greeted with aristocratic warmth that didn't quite reach his eyes. Welcome aboard. I confess I wasn't certain you'd accept my invitation, particularly after the excitement at Tipoca City. You gave me little choice, Halsey said, descending the ramp with the Spartans in formation around her. The 5 enhanced clones followed, their movements still slightly uncoordinated, but improving by the hour as their augmented nervous systems adapted to conscious control. The Republic wants me in custody. The Jedi want me silenced. You're offering the only viable alternative. I prefer to think I'm offering opportunity, Dooku corrected smoothly. His gaze shifted to the enhanced clones, lingering on Candidate 3 with obvious interest. These are your enhanced soldiers? Impressive. I can sense the force in that one. Strong, untrained, but unmistakable. You've achieved something remarkable, Doctor. I've achieved a functional prototype, Halsey said. 5 successful candidates from an initial batch of 5. Acceptable survival rate, but I need larger sample sizes to refine the protocols. Which brings us to why I'm here. You promised facilities and resources. I need specifics. Dooku smiled at her directness. Of course, follow me. He led them through corridors that blended functionality with subtle displays of wealth, polished metal, efficient lighting, but also artwork from dozens of worlds, materials chosen for aesthetic as much as purpose. The ship was a reflection of its owner, practical but with touches of refinement that spoke to noble heritage. They entered a conference room where holographic projections filled the air. Star systems, facility schematics, resource allocation charts. A Nymoidian in Trade Federation robes stood reviewing the data, his expression sour as they entered. Viceroy Gunray, Dooku said, may I present Dr. Catherine? Halsey, the scientist I mentioned. Gunray's large eyes studied Halsey with barely concealed distaste. This is the human who's caused such disruption. Count Dooku, the Jedi are demanding explanations. The Republic Senate is threatening sanctions all over this woman and her experiments. This woman created soldiers that held off 4 Jedi Knights and Republic clone troopers, Dooku said, his voice carrying steel beneath the courtesy. I suggest you show appropriate respect, Viceroy. Gunray subsided into resentful silence. Halsey filed away the interaction. Dooku held authority over the Separatist Council, but it was contested authority. The corporate leaders followed him, but didn't necessarily like him. Exploitable friction. Dr. Halsey, Dooku continued, pulling up facility schematics. The Separatist Alliance controls hundreds of systems, many with research installations. I'm offering you access to a facility on Mustafar, isolated, defensible, with full cloning capabilities and genetic research equipment. Everything you need to continue your work without Republic interference. Halsey studied the specifications. Mustafar, volcanic world, minimal population, harsh environment. The facility itself was impressive. Kilometers of underground laboratories, industrial-scale cloning chambers, security systems that would make Oni jealous. It was also a prison disguised as opportunity. Isolated meant vulnerable. Defensible meant difficult to leave. And the security systems could just as easily keep her in as keep enemies out. What's the actual cost? Halsey asked bluntly. You're not offering this out of philanthropic interest. What do you want from my research? Honestly, Dooku said, I want to understand if the Force can be enhanced through scientific means. The Jedi believe Force sensitivity is purely genetic, midi-chlorian concentration determined at birth, unchangeable. But your Candidate 3 suggests otherwise. If augmentation can increase midi-chlorian production, if we can create Force sensitivity artificially. He pulled up medical scans of Candidate 3, showing the elevated midi-chlorian counts Halsey had documented. The Jedi take children and spend decades training them. Imagine if we could create Force-sensitive warriors in months. Adults with full cognitive function, enhanced physical capabilities, and the power to manipulate reality itself. Doctor, That would change the nature of warfare completely. It would also be incredibly dangerous, Halsey said. The Force isn't just another tool. From what I've observed, it's tied to consciousness, to emotion, to the fundamental nature of whoever wields it. Creating Force-sensitive soldiers without understanding the psychological implications could result in catastrophic instability. Which is why I need your scientific expertise, Dooku said. I can provide Force training. You provide the augmentation protocols and biological understanding. Together, we create something unprecedented. Halsey looked at Candidate 3, who stood with his brothers, listening to the conversation with the same intense focus all her enhanced soldiers showed. Creating Force-sensitive Spartans, it was the logical evolution of her work. The combination of everything she'd learned about augmentation with the unique properties of this galaxy. It was also playing with fire while standing in a munitions depot. I'll need to see the Mustafar facility before committing, Halsey said. And I want guarantees about autonomy. If I'm going to continue this research, it's under my direction, not separatist oversight. Acceptable, Dooku said. We can arrange transport immediately. Count Dooku. A battle droid's electronic voice crackled through the comm system. Republic vessels are moving into aggressive formation. They're demanding we release Dr. Halsey or face engagement. Dooku's expression remained calm, but Halsey saw the calculation in his eyes. How many ships? 3 Acclamator class, 6 Venator class, multiple support frigates. Admiral Yularen is commanding. They've deployed starfighter squadrons and are charging weapons. The Republic was done negotiating. They'd brought enough firepower to overwhelm the Separatist fleet and extract Halsey by force if necessary. Dooku's offer of sanctuary had just become a liability. Viceroy Gunray, Dooku said, scramble our fighters. Prepare evasive maneuvers, but do not fire unless fired upon. Dr. Halsey, I'm afraid your departure from Kamino has precipitated a confrontation neither side particularly wanted. But both sides were prepared for, Halsey finished. She'd seen enough military standoffs to recognize the pattern. This wasn't about her anymore. It was the Republican separatists testing each other, using her as the excuse to gauge their opponent's readiness for larger conflict. She'd become a catalyst for galactic war. Through the conference room's viewports, she could see Republic vessels moving into attack formation. Venator-class star destroyers, massive wedges bristling with turbo-laser batteries and fighter launch tubes. Against them, separatist Providence carriers deployed droid starfighters in swarms, their numerical superiority offsetting the Republic's superior capital ships. We should leave the system, Fred said over their private channel. This is going to turn into a shooting war, and we're sitting at ground zero. Can't leave without knowing where we're going, Halsey replied. And Dooku's facility might be our only option if the Republic's this committed to capturing us. The first shots came from a Republic Venator, turbo laser fire that splashed against the Invisible Hand's shields with brilliant flares of dissipating energy. Dooku made a small gesture, and the ship's captain responded immediately, returning fire while angling away from the engagement zone. Dr. Halsey, Dooku said, his voice carrying urgency beneath the aristocratic polish. I need your decision. Stay aboard and accept my offer, or take your chances with the Republic. But decide now. This confrontation is about to become considerably more violent. Halsey looked at her assembled forces. The Spartans stood ready, weapons charged, waiting for her command. The enhanced clones watched her with the same loyalty she'd engineered into the original Spartan 2s. All of them were her responsibility. All of them depended on her making the right choice. The Republic offered oversight, restrictions, and philosophical limitations that would cripple her research. The Jedi would never accept what she'd created. They'd already proven that with violence. Staying independent meant having no protection, no resources, and every major faction in the galaxy as an enemy. Dooku offered resources, protection, and the freedom to continue her work. But it meant allying with the Sith, with beings who wielded the dark side and pursued agendas she didn't fully understand. It meant becoming part of a war machine designed to fracture the galaxy. There were no good options, only degrees of bad. "I accept your offer," Halsey said, the words feeling like crossing a threshold she couldn't uncross. "Take us to Mustafar, but understand something, Count Dooku, I'm not your subordinate. I'm not a separatist scientist working under your direction. I am an independent researcher using your facilities. The moment that arrangement changes, I walk." "Perfectly clear," Dooku said, though something in his expression suggested he found her conditions amusing rather than limiting. "Welcome to the Confederacy of Independent Systems, Dr. Halsey. I believe you'll find our partnership quite productive." The invisible hand shuddered as Republic fire intensified. Around them, space filled with the chaos of modern warfare. Starfighters dogfighting in swirling furballs, capital ships exchanging titanic volleys of energy, explosion blooms marking destroyed vessels. The Battle of Kamino had begun, precipitated by Halsey's presence but driven by tensions that had been building for years. "Calculating hyperspace jump," the navigation officer announced. "Coordinates set for Mustafar, jumping in 30 seconds." Through the viewports, Halsey watched Kamino receding, the ocean world where she'd first arrived in this galaxy, where she'd created the first enhanced clones, where she'd proven her genius could transcend dimensional barriers. She was leaving it behind for an uncertain future with the Sith, but she'd made worse bargains before and survived them. The stars stretched into lines as the invisible hand jumped to hyperspace, leaving the battle behind. In the eerie blue glow of hyperspace travel, Halsey turned to Candidate 3. "How do you feel?" she asked the Force-sensitive clone. "Confused," he admitted. "I can sense things, emotions from the crew, danger rippling through space before it manifests. It's like having a sixth sense I don't know how to use. Is this what the Force feels like?" "I don't know," Halsey said honestly. "I'm not Force-sensitive, but we're going to figure it out together. You and your brothers represent something unprecedented, enhanced soldiers with the potential for Force abilities. That makes you valuable, dangerous, and likely to be targeted by everyone from Jedi to Sith to whoever else learns about your existence." "Then we stay together," Candidate 1 said, speaking for the group. "Doctor, we don't fully understand what we are or why we exist, but we know you created us. We know you protected us on Kamino. That's enough." Halsey felt that familiar weight settling on her shoulders, the responsibility of having created life and being accountable for what that life became. She'd carried it with the Spartans for decades. Now she'd carry it with these enhanced clones in a galaxy that wasn't her own. "John," she said to Spartan 117, "integrate the enhanced candidates into our operational structure. Basic weapons training, tactical coordination, unit cohesion drills. They have flash training memories, but they need actual experience to make those memories functional." "Understood," John said. "Ma'am, are we really allying with the Sith?" "We're accepting resources from someone who happens to be Sith," Halsey corrected. "There's a difference. We maintain our autonomy, we pursue our objectives, and we don't get drawn into galactic politics beyond what's necessary for survival." "And when Dooku tries to use us as weapons in his war, then we remind him why it's dangerous to assume Spartans follow orders they haven't agreed to," Halsey said. The hyperspace journey to Mustafar took 6 hours. Halsey spent them reviewing facility specifications, analyzing the political implications of her choice and trying to ignore the nagging certainty that she'd just made a deal that would haunt her. When they emerged from hyperspace, Mustafar loomed before them, a hellscape of volcanic activity, rivers of lava carving through tortured landscapes, the planet's surface a testament to geological violence. The facility was built into the side of a massive volcano, protected by energy shields and natural defensive positions. It looked like something from humanity's worst nightmares. It looked perfect for the kind of research civilized societies preferred to pretend didn't exist. "Your new laboratory," Dooku said as their shuttle descended through Mustafar's ash-choked atmosphere. "Everything you need to continue your work. No Republic oversight, no Jedi interference. Just science, pursued to its logical conclusion." Halsey stared at the facility, her new prison, her new opportunity, her new burden, and wondered which of them would regret this arrangement first. But wondering had never stopped her before. As they landed and she stepped onto Mustafar's industrial platform, surrounded by Spartans and enhanced clones, Halsey made herself a promise. Whatever happened in this facility, whatever weapons or wonders or horrors she created, it would be on her terms. Catherine Halsey had sacrificed her soul to save humanity once. She'd do whatever necessary to ensure those sacrifices weren't wasted, even if it meant creating soldiers for a war that wasn't hers, in a galaxy that feared what she represented. The laboratory doors opened, revealing kilometers of empty potential waiting to be filled with her vision. She walked forward without hesitation. 3 months on Mustafar had transformed the facility from empty potential into something that would have terrified both the Republic and the Separatist Council if they'd understood its full scope. Halsey had thrown herself into the work with the same obsessive intensity that had created the original Spartan program, and the results were beginning to manifest in ways even she hadn't fully anticipated. The enhanced clones now numbered 37. The 5 originals, Alpha Squad she'd designated them, had become squad leaders, their accelerated experience and force-enhanced abilities making them natural commanders. Candidate 3, whom she'd named Aurelius at his request, had progressed from unconscious force manifestations to controlled telekinesis, limited precognition, and the disturbing ability to sense emotions across distances. But it was the integration of UNSC technology with Star Wars capabilities that produced the most significant breakthrough. "Dr. Halsey, you need to see this." Taun We's voice crackled through the laboratory comm system. The Kaminoan scientist had joined Halsey on Mustafar, whether out of scientific curiosity or because Kamino had quietly exiled her for being too closely associated with controversial research. Halsey hadn't asked. "The Mark 7 armor is ready for testing." Halsey left her office and descended into the lower levels where the engineering bays had been converted into manufacturing centers. What she saw stopped her in her tracks. Mjolnir Mark 7 armor stood in testing racks, but these weren't the suits the Spartans had brought from their universe. These were new constructions built using Mustafar's industrial capacity and combining UNSC design principles with Star Wars technology. Beskar plating instead of titanium alloy, power systems that drew from both fusion cores and Star Wars energy cells. Shield generators enhanced with technology reverse-engineered from Separatist droidicas, and most significantly, integrated weapon systems that included both UNSC and Galactic standard armaments. "We had to make modifications," Taun We explained, pulling up holographic schematics. "Your original armor designs require materials we don't have access to, but Mandalorian Beskar provides superior protection, and the Separatist technology databases include energy shielding far more efficient than your original designs. The result is armor that's approximately 40% lighter, but provides 60% better protection. And the cost? Halsey asked, because nothing came free. Expensive, Tanwi admitted. Each suit requires Beskar that costs more than a small starship. But Count Dooku has authorized unlimited funding for this project. He's very interested in seeing the results. Of course he was. Halsey had been careful to share enough progress with Dooku to maintain his support while obscuring the full scope of what she was building. He knew she was enhancing clones and developing new armor. He didn't know that she was creating a force capable of operating independently of both Republic and Separatist control. Initiate live testing, Halsey ordered. Alpha Squad first, then the newer candidates. I want full combat simulations, stress testing under extreme conditions. Over the next week, the enhanced clones underwent trials that would have killed normal soldiers. They fought battle droids in simulated combat, tested the new armor against various weapons, and pushed their augmented bodies to failure points. Aurelius demonstrated the ability to combine force precognition with augmented reflexes, dodging attacks before they occurred, and striking with precision that bordered on prescient. But it was during a training exercise that the fundamental problem with Halsey's project revealed itself. She was observing from the control room when Aurelius confronted a holographic simulation of a Jedi Knight. The exercise was designed to test combat response against Force users, critical knowledge if the Jedi ever came for them again. Aurelius moved through the simulation with growing confidence, his augmented speed and Force abilities combining to create something unprecedented. Then the simulation Jedi spoke words that triggered something in Aurelius's flash-trained memories, something about duty, about serving the greater good, about sacrifice. Aurelius froze. His Force presence, normally controlled, exploded outward in a wave of psychic feedback that sent monitoring equipment haywire. The other enhanced clones in the training room staggered, clutching their heads. And in the control room, Halsey felt something she'd never experienced before. A pressure against her mind, as if invisible hands were trying to pry into her thoughts. "Shut down the simulation," she ordered. The hologram disappeared, but Aurelius remained frozen, his eyes distant, his breathing rapid. John 1:17 moved to his position, his armored hand on the clone's shoulder. "Soldier, report," John said with Spartan authority. I don't know why I exist," Aurelius said, his voice hollow. "The flash training tells me I'm a soldier. The augmentations make me a weapon, but I never chose this. I was created in a laboratory, programmed with skills and knowledge, and told to fight in a war I don't understand for people I've never met. What am I? What purpose do I actually serve?" It was the question Halsey had dreaded since creating the first Spartan. The question that haunted every moment of the program. What happened when the soldiers she'd engineered realized they'd been given no choice in their existence? "You serve because it's necessary," Halsey said, descending to the training floor. "I created you to be superior soldiers because this galaxy needs superior soldiers. The Republic is corrupt. The Separatists are controlled by corporate interests. The Jedi enforce dogma masquerading as philosophy. Someone has to be capable of operating outside those systems, someone with the strength to enforce their own will." "Your will," Aurelius said, turning to face her, "not ours. We exist because you decided we should exist. We fight because you tell us to fight. We're weapons, Doctor. Sophisticated weapons, but weapons nonetheless." "Yes," Halsey said, choosing brutal honesty. "You are weapons. I created you to be weapons. But you're also more than that. You have consciousness, agency, the ability to choose how you wield your capabilities. The Spartans," she gestured to John, were taken as children, augmented without consent, turned into warriors who knew nothing else, but they became heroes. They saved billions, their weapons who chose to be shields. And how many of those children died in your augmentation process? Aurelius asked. The question came from somewhere deep, perhaps flash-trained knowledge about the Spartan program, or perhaps Force-granted insight into Halsey's mind. Half, Halsey admitted. The word tasted like ash. Of the 75 original candidates, 37 survived augmentation. The rest died or were permanently disabled. I live with that every day. Every Spartan who stands before me is a reminder of the children who didn't survive. But I'd make the same choice again because without them, humanity would be extinct. And us? Aurelius's Force presence rippled with emotion. Anger, confusion, despair, and something else. Something darker. How many of our brothers died so these 37 could exist? How many more will you sacrifice in pursuit of your perfect soldiers? The temperature in the training room seemed to drop. The lights flickered, equipment rattled as Aurelius's Force abilities manifested unconsciously, responding to emotional turmoil with physical consequences. Aurelius, John said carefully, stand down. Whatever you're feeling, you need to control it. Control it? Aurelius laughed bitterly. I can feel your emotions, Master Chief. All of you. The enhanced candidates, they're conflicted, uncertain, loyal because they were programmed to be loyal, but increasingly aware that their loyalty wasn't freely given. The Spartans, you're torn between duty to Dr. Halsey and recognition that what she's doing here mirrors the violations committed against you and Dr. Halsey herself. He turned his Force-sensitive gaze on her. You're terrified because you've created something you can't fully control. Force-sensitive enhanced soldiers who might decide they don't want to be your weapons anymore. The truth hung in the air like a blade. Halsey had always known this moment would come, the moment when her creations questioned their purpose. With the original Spartans, loyalty and conditioning had been enough, but these enhanced clones had Force sensitivity. They could sense emotions, perceive truths, and potentially resist psychological conditioning in ways normal humans couldn't. She'd created soldiers who could think for themselves, and thinking soldiers were the most dangerous weapons of all. You're right, Halsey said quietly. I am terrified, because I've spent my entire career creating warriors to fight humanity's battles, and I've always justified it by pointing to the existential threats we faced. But here, in this galaxy, I'm creating enhanced soldiers not to save humanity, but to survive in a political landscape I barely understand. That makes me no different from the Republic breeding clone armies or the Separatists building droid legions. She stepped closer to Aurelius, meeting his gaze without flinching. But you ask what purpose you serve. Here it is. You serve yourself, your brothers, your own survival. I created you, yes, but I'm offering you something the Republic doesn't offer its clones and the Jedi don't offer their younglings. A choice. Stay and become the warriors I designed you to be, or leave. Take your brothers, take the armor, take whatever resources you need, and forge your own path in this galaxy. I won't stop you. The silence that followed was profound. The enhanced clones exchanged glances, silent communication through their Force-enhanced connection. The Spartans stood ready, waiting to see which way this confrontation would break. Finally, Aurelius spoke. If we leave, what happens to the others? The clones still in development? The ones you're planning to create? I continue the work, Halsey said honestly, because this galaxy is moving toward war, and wars require soldiers. If you leave, I'll find other candidates, refine the process, and keep building enhanced forces until I have enough to ensure my survival and the survival of those who depend on me. Then we stay, Aurelius said. Not because we're your weapons, but because if enhanced soldiers are being created, it's better that we're here to guide them, to give them the choice you're offering us, to ensure that whatever army you're building has a conscience. Halsey felt something unknot in her chest, relief mixed with new complications. Aurelius and the enhanced candidates weren't blindly loyal anymore. They were choosing to stay, which meant their service was genuine. But it also meant they'd question orders, push back against decisions, and potentially refuse missions they found objectionable. She'd created thinking weapons. Now she had to learn to work with them as partners rather than tools. Acceptable, Halsey said. New operational structure. Alpha Squad operates as autonomous unit with advisory role in all strategic decisions. You'll train new candidates, provide force sensitivity testing, and maintain quality control on augmentation procedures. In exchange, I guarantee transparency on all projects and full disclosure of how enhanced soldiers are being deployed. And Count Dooku? Aurelius asked. He's paying for all this. Eventually, he's going to want to use us. Then we negotiate those terms when they come, Halsey said. But understand, I don't work for Dooku. I'm using his resources to build something independent. If he tries to turn you into separatist shock troopers, we leave. There are other systems in this galaxy, other factions, other opportunities. The crisis had passed, but Halsey knew the underlying tension remained. She'd created force-sensitive Spartans who could think for themselves and question their purpose. That made them more valuable than any weapon she'd built before. It also made them infinitely more dangerous as the training session resumed with new parameters, collaborative drills instead of top-down orders. Halsey returned to her office and found Dooku waiting. I sensed a disturbance, the Sith Lord said, his posture relaxed but his eyes sharp. Your force-sensitive clone was projecting considerable emotional turmoil. Problems with your super soldiers, Doctor? Growing pains, Halsey said curtly. They're learning to think independently. It's a necessary stage of development. Independent thinking in weapons is dangerous, Dooku observed. The Jedi learned that lesson repeatedly with Force sensitives who rejected their teachings. It's why they take children so young. Easier to shape minds that haven't formed their own convictions. And look where that's gotten them, Halsey countered. An order so rigid it breaks rather than bends when challenged. My enhanced soldiers think for themselves, which makes them adaptable. Unpredictable, yes, but far more valuable in complex situations. Dooku studied her thoughtfully. You're building something more than an army, aren't you? This isn't just enhanced clones for the separatist cause. You're creating an independent force, soldiers loyal to you rather than any government or philosophy. I'm creating survivors, Halsey said. The Spartans and I are stranded in your galaxy with no way home. The Republic wants us captured or eliminated. The Jedi view us as abominations. The only way we survive is by making ourselves too valuable to destroy and too dangerous to attack. That requires soldiers who can operate independently of existing power structures. Ambitious, Dooku said, and potentially treasonous to the Confederacy that's sheltering you. Only if you're foolish enough to see it as treason rather than opportunity, Halsey countered. Count Dooku, you're Sith. You manipulate factions and governments toward your own ends. I'm doing exactly the same thing, using your resources to build what I need while providing you with benefits in return. We're alike in that regard. The question is whether you're comfortable with that similarity or threatened by it. Dooku laughed. genuine amusement rather than aristocratic politeness. Dr. Halsey, you continue to exceed expectations. Very well. Continue your work. Build your independent force. But understand that when the war truly begins, and it will begin soon, I'll expect these enhanced soldiers of yours to prove their worth. The Separatist Council is growing impatient with investments that don't yield immediate returns. They'll get their returns, Halsey promised, but on my timeline and under my terms. That's not negotiable. Of course not, Dooku said, rising to leave. I wouldn't expect anything less from the woman who held off 4 Jedi Knights on Kamino. He paused at the door. One more thing, Doctor. The Republic has placed a substantial bounty on your head. 10 million credits. The Jedi Council has declared you a threat to galactic stability. You've made powerful enemies. I've survived worse, Halsey said. I believe you have, Dooku agreed, which is precisely why I'm investing in you. After he left, Halsey pulled up intelligence reports from across the galaxy. The Clone Wars had officially begun, Republic forces engaging separatist installations across multiple sectors. The Jedi had been mobilized as generals. Count Dooku's predictions about galactic fracture were proving accurate. And somewhere in the chaos, Catherine Halsey's enhanced soldiers were becoming a force that would shift the balance of power in ways neither side had anticipated. She looked at the armor prototypes in the engineering bay, at the cloning chambers producing new candidates at the Spartans, and enhanced clones training together in the facility's depths. She'd built an army, not for the Republic, not for the Separatists, but for herself. And when the galaxy's major powers finally realized what she'd created on Mustafar, the real war would begin. The first true test came 6 months into the Clone Wars, when General Grievous personally requested Halsey's enhanced soldiers for a critical operation. The message arrived through encrypted separatist channels, coordinates for a meeting on a neutral space station, time-sensitive intelligence, and the implicit understanding that refusing a request from the Confederacy's Supreme Marshal Commander would have consequences. Halsey assembled her command staff, the Spartans, Alpha Squad, and Tonwi, to review the tactical situation. General Grievous wants us to assault a Republic research facility on Kamino, Halsey said, pulling up the mission parameters. The same facility where we created the first enhanced clones. Intelligence suggests the Kaminoans have been refining clone production based on data they recovered from our laboratory engagements. Grievous wants that research destroyed and the lead scientists captured. It's a trap, Fred said immediately. Grievous knows our history with Kamino. He's testing whether we're actually separatist assets or independent operators who will refuse missions that conflict with our interests. Or he legitimately needs enhanced soldiers for a difficult assault, Kelly countered. Kamino's defenses are substantial. Republic clone troopers garrison the facility now. Jedi oversight. Standard battle droids would get slaughtered. Aurelius studied the mission briefing with his force-enhanced perception. There's something else. I can sense anticipation, excitement. Whoever planned this mission expects violence beyond the objective. They're not just testing our capabilities, they're hoping we'll fail. Halsey had reached the same conclusion through analysis rather than mystical insight. The Separatist Council doesn't trust us. Dooku does, or at least finds us useful. But Grievous and the corporate leadership see us as Dooku's personal project, a liability. If we succeed at Kamino, we prove our value. If we fail, Dooku's investment looks questionable, and we're conveniently eliminated. Then we don't go, John 1:17 said flatly. We're not sacrificial pawns for separatist politics. We don't have that luxury, Halsey replied. She pulled up financial records. Mustafar facility costs, cloning expenses, armor production, weapons manufacturing. We've been burning through Separatist funding at an unsustainable rate. 6 months of operations have cost them more than equipping 3 droid armies. If we refuse this mission, Dooku loses political capital defending us. The Council cuts funding. We're back to being hunted fugitives with no resources and every faction in the galaxy as enemies. The weight of that settled over the room. They'd built something extraordinary on Mustafar. 93 enhanced clones now with another cohort in accelerated development. New armor, weapons that combined UNSC and Star Wars technology, ships they'd acquired through Separatist channels. But all of it depended on continued support from a faction that was growing increasingly skeptical of their value. "So we go to Kamino," Aurelius said slowly, "but not as Separatist shock troopers. We complete the mission our way. Minimal casualties, surgical strike. We prove we're effective without becoming the monsters the Jedi already think we are." "Agreed," Halsey said. "Fred, start mission planning. I want every detail analyzed. Republic force composition, Jedi presence, civilian population, extraction routes. Kelly, coordinate with our enhanced squads. This is their first major combat deployment outside training exercises. They need to understand the stakes. John, you are mission commander. Operational authority supersedes all other considerations, including mine. If the situation becomes untenable, you abort and get everyone out." John's golden visor turned toward her. "Doctor, if we abort, the Separatists will see it as failure." "Better to be seen as failures than to be dead," Halsey said. "The mission is important, but not more important than the lives of the soldiers I created. That's not negotiable." The Spartans and Alpha Squad moved to execute her orders, leaving Halsey alone with Taun We in the command center. The Kaminoan scientist had been silent during the briefing, but now she spoke carefully. "Dr. Halsey, you realize this mission will require attacking my former colleagues, scientists I worked with for decades. Lama Su himself may be present." "I know," Halsey said quietly. "If you want to sit this one out, I understand. You didn't sign up to wage war against your own people. My people exiled me when I became too closely associated with your research," Taun We said with unusual bitterness. "They chose Republic politics over scientific curiosity. They chose safety over advancement. I stopped being one of my people the moment I followed you to Mustafar." She straightened, her elongated frame radiating determination. "I'll assist with mission planning, and Dr. Halsey, make them understand what they gave up when they let you leave." 3 days later, a strike force unlike anything the Clone Wars had seen approached Kamino through hyperspace. 2 modified Separatist frigates, their hulls bearing no identifying markers. In their holds, 40 enhanced soldiers in Mark 7 armor, 4 Spartans, enough firepower to level a small city, and Dr. Catherine Halsey coordinating from the command deck. "Exiting hyperspace in 30 seconds, the navigation officer announced. "Kamino system ahead." Halsey watched the blue tunnel of hyperspace collapse into real space, revealing the ocean world she'd first arrived on nearly a year ago. Republic vessels maintained orbital positions, fewer than during her departure, but still substantial. Venator-class star destroyers, support frigates, patrol craft. Kamino had become a fortress world, its strategic importance to Republic clone production making it one of the most heavily defended systems in the galaxy. "Republic sensors are scanning us," the communications officer reported. "They're demanding identification codes." "Transmit the clearance codes Grievous provided," Halsey ordered. Separatist intelligence had supposedly infiltrated Kamino's security. codes that would identify their ships as authorized supply transports. Whether those codes would actually work or were part of the trap remained to be seen. 30 seconds of tense silence. Then, codes accepted. We're cleared for landing approach to Topoka City, Platform 7. Too easy, Fred muttered over the tactical channel. Agreed, Halsey said. John, assume the Republic knows we're here. They're letting us land because they want us in a controlled environment. Modify the approach. Land on Platform 12 instead. It's further from main garrison positions and closer to the research levels. That will invalidate our clearance codes, the pilot objected. Do it anyway, Halsey ordered. If they're waiting to ambush us on Platform 7, we'll avoid the initial trap. If they're not, we've just made our infiltration more difficult, but maintained operational flexibility. The ships altered course, descending through Kamino's storms toward Platform 12. Alarms immediately sounded across Republic channels. Unauthorized deviation, security breach, all units to combat stations. The trap had been sprung early, but that meant they'd avoided whatever concentrated force had been waiting at Platform 7. Platform 12 defense turrets are activating, sensors reported. Republic clone troopers deploying to intercept. Estimate 200 soldiers converging on landing zone. All enhanced squads, combat deployment. John's voice rang with Spartan authority. Alpha squad takes point. Beta and Gamma provide suppressing fire. Delta squad secures perimeter. Spartans, we're hunting Jedi. Doctor, stay on the ship until the landing zone is secure. Negative, Halsey said. She was already moving toward the deployment bay, datapad in hand, analyzing facility schematics. I know this facility's layout better than anyone. You need me to navigate to the research levels. Doctor, John began. That's an order, Master Chief. Halsey cut him off. You command the combat operation. I command the mission. We're doing this together. The ships landed hard, their loading ramps dropping even as Republic fire splashed against their shields. Enhanced soldiers poured out in perfect formation, 40 armored warriors moving with inhuman speed and precision. Their first volley was devastating. UNSC assault rifles roared alongside captured blaster weapons, creating a wall of suppressive fire that forced Republic clones into cover. But these weren't the surprised Kaminoan security guards from their first encounter. These were battle-hardened clone troopers who'd been fighting separatist forces for months. They returned fire with disciplined volleys, used cover effectively, and called for reinforcements with tactical competence. The battle became brutal immediately. Enhanced soldiers moved through the firefight with superhuman capability, augmented reflexes allowing them to track incoming fire, enhanced strength letting them use cover that would crush normal humans, neural modifications processing tactical information faster than standard soldiers could react. But the Republic had numbers and defensive positions. Alpha Squad demonstrated why force sensitivity combined with augmentation was unprecedented. Aurelius moved through the combat zone with precognitive grace, his lightsaber, gifted by Dooku ironically, deflecting blaster fire while his free hand hurled clone troopers aside with telekinetic force. His squad mates coordinated with him through their force-enhanced connection, creating a unit cohesion that approached telepathic. Jedi signatures incoming, Aurelius called out. 2 of them, masters, not knights. They're strong. Through the rain and chaos came Kit Fisto, the same Nautilon Jedi who'd fought them on Kamino before, and a new face, a Mirialan female whose lightsaber burned with intense focus. They moved through the battlefield with force-enhanced speed, their lightsabers carving through separatist battle droids that had deployed alongside the enhanced soldiers. Spartans, engage the Jedi, John ordered. Enhanced squads push toward the facility entrance. Doctor, move. Halsey ran through the combat zone, protected by a moving wall of enhanced soldiers who positioned themselves between her and incoming fire. She'd been in war zones before: Covenant attacks, refugee evacuations, desperate defensive stands. But this was different. This was warfare she'd engineered. Soldiers she'd created fighting battles that weren't theirs, in service to goals that weren't clear, all because she'd needed to prove their value to a faction that didn't trust them. The moral weight threatened to crush her, but there was no time for philosophy in a firefight. They reached the facility entrance as Fred engaged Kit Fisto in brutal close combat. The Jedi's lightsaber sparked against Fred's shields, the Spartans' enhanced strength matching Fisto's force augmentation. Behind them, Kelly and Linda provided covering fire while the second Jedi attempted to flank. Force connection between target and enhanced soldiers detected. A Republic commander's voice crackled across intercepted communications. Unknown capabilities. Recommend fall back to... The transmission cut off as Aurelius's squad breached the Republic command post. The enhanced clones moved through Tipoca City's corridors with the same efficiency they'd demonstrated in training, but now it was real. Real weapons, real enemies, real consequences. 2 enhanced soldiers went down with serious injuries. One would survive, the other wouldn't make it back to the ship. The first combat death of Halsey's enhanced program. A soldier barely 6 months old, killed in a war that wasn't his, for objectives he'd questioned but ultimately accepted. Halsey felt something crack inside her chest, but she kept moving. They reached the research laboratories to find them already being evacuated. Lama Su stood directing Kaminoan scientists, his black eyes widening as he recognized Halsey. "Dr. Halsey," he said with surprising calm, "I wondered if the Separatists would send you, poetic in a way. You help us advance our research, then return to destroy it." "I don't want to destroy it," Halsey said. Explosions shook the facility as the battle raged outside. "I want to recover it, your research, your scientists. Everyone comes with us willingly or stays unharmed. This doesn't have to be violent." "The Jedi would disagree," Lama Su observed. "They've ordered us to resist any separatist incursion with lethal force. The Republic has made Kamino's cloning facilities too valuable to surrender under any circumstances." "Then evacuate anyway," Halsey said. "Take your people and leave before this facility becomes a war zone. Lama Su, I understand choosing politics over science, but don't let your scientists die for someone else's war." The Kaminoan Prime Minister studied her for a long moment. Then he turned to his staff. "Evacuation Protocol Omega. All research personnel to emergency transports. We're abandoning this facility." "Prime Minister, the Republic," one scientist objected, "will understand that protecting irreplaceable scientific minds takes precedence over defending buildings," Lama Su said firmly. He looked back at Halsey. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Doctor, but I fear this galaxy will not forgive what you're becoming." Halsey's enhanced soldiers secured the research data, genetic sequences, augmentation protocols, everything the Kaminoans had learned from studying her work. It was simultaneously validation and damnation. She'd advanced their science. They'd weaponized her advances. Neither could claim moral high ground. Outside, John's voice cut through the tactical channel. "Doctor, we have a problem. Multiple Republic capital ships moving into strike position. They're preparing orbital bombardment. Whatever you're doing, do it fast." Halsey cursed. The Republic was willing to sacrifice Tipoca City to prevent separatist forces from capturing it. "All units, immediate extraction. John, get everyone to the ships. We're leaving, now." The withdrawal was controlled chaos. Enhanced soldiers fell back through the facility in fighting retreat. their augmented capabilities allowing them to maintain combat effectiveness even while pulling back. The Spartans provided rear guard, their armor absorbing punishment that would have killed anyone else. But as they reached the landing platform, disaster struck. A Republic orbital strike hit one of their frigates directly, a precision turbo laser blast that overwhelmed shields and carved through the vessel's reactor. The explosion sent shrapnel and plasma across the landing zone, catching 2 enhanced squads in the blast radius. Halsey watched from the remaining frigate's ramp as 12 of her enhanced soldiers, beings she'd created, trained, given purpose, died in an instant. "Lift off," she screamed. "Get us out of here." The remaining frigate ascended through Kamino's storms under intense fire. Republic fighters pursued, weapons blazing, but Alpha Squad, Aurelius specifically, demonstrated something that made even Halsey pause. The Force-sensitive enhanced clone reached out with his power and created a barrier, not physical, not technological, but pure Force energy that deflected incoming fire long enough for their ship to escape atmosphere. Then he collapsed, blood running from his nose, his augmented body pushed beyond safe limits by the feet. "Aurelius!" One of his squadmates caught him as he fell. "I'm fine," Aurelius gasped, "but we can't do that again, not for a long time. That nearly killed me." They jumped to hyperspace, with Republic pursuit still scrambling, leaving Kamino behind in flames. In the medical bay, Halsey stood among the survivors, 23 enhanced soldiers, 4 Spartans, herself, and Tan Wei. They'd accomplished the mission, recovered research, proved their combat effectiveness. The cost had been devastating. Halsey looked at her datapad showing casualty reports. 17 enhanced soldiers dead. Another 8 injured seriously enough to require extended recovery. The first soldier she'd created in this galaxy, Candidate 1, Alpha Squad's leader, had taken a lightsaber to the chest, protecting her during extraction. He'd survived, but barely. She'd created an army to ensure survival in an alien galaxy. Instead, she'd created soldiers to feed into a meat grinder that wasn't her war, wasn't her fight, and wasn't saving anyone she cared about. "Doctor," John said quietly, his helmet removed, his scarred face showing the weight of command. "We need to talk about what happens next. The enhanced soldiers are questioning whether this was worth it, whether any of this is worth it, and honestly, I'm questioning it too." Halsey looked at the Master Chief, the first Spartan, the soldier who'd followed her across universes, and saw doubt in his eyes for the first time. "What do you want me to say, John? That I was wrong? That creating enhanced soldiers for a galactic war we don't understand was a mistake?" She gestured to the survivors around them. "I don't know if it was right. I don't know if anything I've done since arriving in this galaxy has been right, but it's kept us alive. It's given us power, and power is the only thing that ensures survival." "At what cost?" John asked. "How many more soldiers do you create before you realize we're not building a force for survival? We're feeding the same war machine we thought we'd escaped?" Halsey had no answer. When they returned to Mustafar, Count Dooku was waiting with praise for the successful mission and requests for additional operations. General Grievous wanted enhanced soldiers, deployed to 6 more critical engagements. The Separatist Council was discussing expanding Halsey's program. More facilities, more cloning operations, industrial-scale production of enhanced warriors. They'd proven their value. Now they'd pay the price for that proof. Halsey stood in her office overlooking Mustafar's volcanic hellscape and realized with cold clarity that she'd made a deal with the devil. Not Dooku, he was merely a symptom. The devil was her own ambition, her own survival instinct, her own inability to accept powerlessness, even when power came at unconscionable cost. She'd created Spartans to save humanity from extinction. Now she was creating enhanced soldiers to save herself from irrelevance in a galaxy that didn't need her. The distinction mattered, but not enough to stop. Dr. Halsey, Aurelius's voice came through her office comm. Alpha Squad is requesting a meeting. We need to discuss our operational parameters going forward. Today's mission, it raised questions we can't ignore anymore. Tomorrow, Halsey said, her voice hollow. We'll discuss it tomorrow. Right now, I need time to think. Understood, Aurelius said. There was something in his tone. Not judgment exactly, but awareness. The Force-sensitive clone could sense her turmoil, her doubt, her growing certainty that she'd crossed lines even she couldn't justify anymore. Tomorrow she'd face those questions. Tomorrow she'd figure out how to lead soldiers who were learning to think for themselves in a war she barely understood. Tonight she stood in her office on a hell world and wondered which would destroy her first. The enemies outside her walls, or the consequences of the choices that had brought her here.